Hey everyone, if you're enjoying my RM audiobooks, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that hype, and maybe check out my Patreon if you want to support the channel even more. Your support means a lot and helps me keep these coming. Now, sit back and enjoy the story. Messages for Dad. Chapter 1, Aegidius. These past few weeks started simply. The Emperor had been about to leave the Great Crusade and head to Terra for his secret work. Before he could leave, he was sent a few vids to watch. He could have ignored them and gone off his merry way. But something made him stop. He decided to spend a few moments with his sons before he left, and what better way to spend time was watch these vids right after Eleanor. A single decision that led to all of his sons congregating around the Bucephalus, with countless fights, laughs, and ribbing at each other, and at him as they watched a series of future events called text-to-speech. And from there, it spiraled out of control. After watching all of TDS, they moved on to other events of the future, all the while bonding as a family, settling differences and old grudges, all the while forming some new ones. Drawing pacts and making cinch, the god of change scream, not as planned. In constant intervals, as the entire timeline was flipped on its head by the Imperium of mankind's royal family, constantly learning things from future and bygone eras. Lorgar even awoke to his full psychic abilities at some point during all of this. Then they watched separate realities, different timelines from the mysterious vid archives that just seemed to keep filling with more vids to watch. They even sat down to enjoy some leisure time. That is how those few weeks passed for them all, even as on the throne world. A certain sigillite was going madder and madder with the sheer amount of paperwork that was quickly piling up. They even made a system where eventually they all took turns digging through to find something to watch and so on. Lorgar found vids of religion. Ferris would find vids of technology, Magnus about the warp, so on and so forth. And as the cycle repeated once more, the twin Primarchs were diving through some of the holovids, searching yet again for interesting content. Unbeknownst to the entire family, the entire Imperium, even the entire galaxy, the series of vids that the Primarchs of the Alpha Legion would stumble upon would be the catalyst, the breaking point, the one which would push them over the edge. It would cause the entire universe to flip itself on its head and raise the entirety of mankind to a whole other plane of existence. And it was very innocently titled. We joined the family at the beginning of this very moment. Alfarius and Omegon were digging through the pile of holovids, the thing having gotten so massive that they had just begun to throw all of the unwatched vids onto a pile, while the watched ones went to another. Yes, Magnus nearly had an aneurysm after seeing this the first time, but he got over it. A certain blue and white-hairedly colored Primarch, though. I swear, brothers, can't you at least put down the vids gently? If you began stacking them, a basic organized collection would finally be formed instead of it looking like a Collegium dorm used clothing pile. The twins completely ignored their brother as they continued digging through the pile of unwatched vids, and soon, one of their gauntlet hands poked out from the pile, a shower of other vids accompanying it, as it presented one chest in particular. A chest covered in Eldari symbols and even some human runes. It seems Alfarius spoke up from the pile, his voice muffled, followed by Omegon, crawling out of the pile as well. We found, and then the two stood up proudly, both holding the chest together now. Speaking in sync, something interesting. The Emperor, who was lounging on his throne, perked up when the twins finally found something after so long. Finally, you two found something. I was pondering whether or not to skip you two. They shrugged at this, and he waved a hand at them, done with the conversation. So, what did you two find? They looked at each other, then at the chest, then themselves, then back to the family, in that order, before they spoke up together, again in sync. Did anyone send messages to Father? From where and when? The Emperor asked, looking directly at Horus and Sanguinius, maybe Rogel. He was sure one of those would be the one to do that, since most others kind of not hate, per se, but not love. Odd. Maybe it was Alfarius saying this, while perhaps it was Omegon who answered. It says it's the 42nd millennium. Okay, you two stop. A message for Father? Obviously, it has to do with some very crucial or even personal matters. It almost feels wrong to open it in front of everyone. We can't just violate the privacy of our own father. Horus spoke up, ever the mediator between the family and their antics. He knew that his father would want privacy, and it was their job to respect that. There were murmurs of agreement among the more upstanding of the brothers, while the more uncaring ones grumbled about their privacy already being breached and the Emperor being a massive hypocrite. Why shouldn't they? They barely had any privacy anymore since the vid started up. Everyone's worst side were on full display every day, so it's quite hypocritical they gave him that privacy. The Emperor, meanwhile, was internally grateful. It was difficult to have his own vices and shortcomings on full display, so he'd like to not have it on full display for once. Thank you, Horus. Sanguinius, who was closest to the twins at the moment, looked over at the box in question on a whim and stopped for a second. Wait, this isn't addressed to Father. The twins blinked owlishly, then looked at the label marking the chest full of vids. Sanguinius is, began one of the twins. Correct, finished the other. To who then? Asked Horace. To Guilliman. There was an audible pause as everyone in the room slowly turned to the Lord of Ultramar, and Robot looked back at all of them, the beginnings of a desperate look on his face, even as it slowly twisted into annoyance. Don't you dare. I say we watch it, began Mordorion, ever the spiteful one of his brothers. It would be useful information, most likely, continued Magnus. It would help me get over my grudge. A humbling experience is always helpful in the long run, said Lorgar with a wicked grin. Isn't that what you said to me at one point? We did have to deal with Cunto Shatarius in all those other vids. Angron yelled out, but he did have a nearly manic grin on his face, always happy to have his annoying monarch of a brother choke on some of his own medicine. Anyone else notice that it says, "Messages for Dad" on the label? Added Magnus as he inspected the first vid. Dad? As in father? Stated Fulgrim in a surprised tone. Who the hell finally got desperate enough to fuck ye dash? Thank you, Lehman, for that very astute analysis of my sexual life. Finally spoke up Robot in his defense. Besides, you aren't that petty, are you all? The family looked at each other, before slowly turning their heads back at Robot, and simply staring even as Guilliman face-bombed hard with both of his bare hands, the gauntlets resting on the side of his throne. You are all incorrigible. Muggos, began the Emperor, even as Muggos Lem booted himself out of hibernation. Play it. Father, please, we still have a chance to dash, Robot began, hoping to appeal to his father about this, but the Emperor gave no quarter. Everyone has to deal with a bit of humiliation, Robot. Better to take it like a man and just get over it. The Emperor answered, sitting back and watching the screen. The vid started up, no one really realizing how much this particular set of vids was going to change everything. 204.m42. The holovid started abruptly. The whole recorder shook as it was seemingly dropped and crashed down on what appeared to be a desk. Came a young, squeaky, and startled voice. Clumsy, pale fingers traced over the lens as the whole recorder was picked up after a few tries and turned to face its user. A young boy with a very familiar jawline with baby fat, a very familiar nose and brow, with a very familiar-looking clothing style as well. The family looked at Guilliman, then back on screen, then again at Guilliman, the back at the screen. Lehman, well, frack me and call me a Finrisian wench's bitch, you're actually did it ye utter mad lad. Emps. T.O. say that I am surprised is an understatement. Rogel. The child has the features of Robot, yet is quite clumsy. Perturabo smacks Rogel as the tradition demanded despite Rogel not even really being able to feel it. Thank you for stating the obvious, brother. Rogel. My pleasure, brother. The child's hair was curly bright blonde and cut short as it peeked out of the edges of a helmet. He wore a blue dress uniform with Macragian and ultramarine heraldry, even as it was primarily colored blue. It was completely offset, however, by the armored helmet that he was wearing on his head. Did I break it? He gently asked, even as he looked over the holocom and rolled the footage back to check it for any corruption. The jump cut from this action shifted quickly from the worried face of the boy to the wide grin he was giving to the recorder. It's fine, he said with a pleasant chuckle, even as he put the holocom back onto the desk with an audible thunk, showing his nicely decorated room. He made sure to keep it propped up and gently moved it to keep it in place. The boy's room was spacious, with the same style of Macragian artificery as would be expected. There were countless bookshelves lining the room with an assortment of books, figures of some type of game. The Emperor shrunk back at those memories of playing that particular game, and there were plenty of propaganda posters of the Ultramarines and the Astra Militarum to complete the look. Edat, it's me, your son, Aegidius. Guilliman was visibly confused, but his heart seemed to be instinctively warming up to the idea of fatherhood. Robot, to be fair, Aegidius is a good-sounding name. Emps, T.O. be extra fair. IT has a lot of tragedy associated with it. Vulcan, I hope he is more fortunate than any of his name-carrying predecessors. I only wish the best for the cute little one. So, once more began Aegidius, seeming confused at what he was supposed to do now. He nervously patted his desk, trying to not stare directly at the whole recorder, since he wasn't sure if that was rude or not. I know you gave me this whole recorder so that I could send you messages while you were away, but Aegidius scratched his hair in frustration. I guess I could start with a report. Guilliman, if that is what you wish, son, then go ahead. Realizes that he just answered a holovid. What the dash? Emps, that's just the instincts kicking in. Your genes are far stronger than a regular human's, even in that particular area. Asterisk, meanwhile, Magnus, Fulgrim, and Jagatai all nodded sagely, as if they somehow knew what that felt like. Lion, meanwhile, was quite confused at this, but didn't dare show it. Asterisk. So, yeah. Report, I guess I can start with a date? No, wait, that will be hard-coded in by the whole recorder. Oh. You've been gone for a while, but Dash, he tried to nervously scratch at his hair, but kept hitting the helmet, making him nearly yell in frustration. Ack! I can't think clearly with my helmet on. He reached up and began fiddling with the pressure lock of the helmet, finally getting the seal undone after a few tries and slowly taking off his helmet to reveal the rest of his curly blonde hair. And, Jagatai, brother, I have to say, what on all the plains of Kagaris were you thinking? Vulcan, deeply struggling on the inside and going red from the restraint. Mortarion, this is just disgusting. Where one would typically find ears on a baseline human, Aegidius instead had a pair of very sharp, distinct Eldari ones. Even the shape of his eyes, not obscured by the visor on the helmet, had a very distinct Eldari shape as well, even if the coloring was human-like. Imps, wow. Even you managed T.O. Wu and Eldari. Good skill, son. Magnus, I didn't think this possible. Lehman, well, that's just bleeding horrible. Robot, can you please not pick on my future son? Or insult me, for that matter. My private life is just that, private, and I will not dash. Angron, sure thing, Eldar fucker. Guilliman, just dash. Lorger, I wonder which one would be beautiful enough to ensnare you, brother. Must be one with zoophily dash. Imps, too far, Lorger, too far. Sanguinius, how about we all just watch? I am personally interested by the child, despite his unusual origin. Conrad, seconding that. Imps, wow, Conrad, I did not expect that from you. Conrad, the child is not responsible for being brought into this world, so I don't care about him, but it's better than watching some of the other stuff. Corvus, agreed. Imps, Muggos, UNPAUSE. Well, I suppose. The Primaris have been doing a great job keeping me company. Brother Tigris and Brother Brutus have been getting kind of distant lately. They say they're just tired from all the fighting. Why don't they just take a nap if they're tired? Now that I think about it, why doesn't everyone just take a nap? The regular Ultramarines barely sleep enough that their armor is all dinged up and scratched. The Tech Marines and Artificers can't repair it quick enough, and replacements are tough to come by. Even Big Bro Cato has his armor all beat up too. Aegidius leaned forward onto his desk, head perched on his hands. Do you think that you can give them a chance to rest? Imperium's sake. Sekun. Say, Kun, Dus, can't be that crazy to always be fighting, can it? Imps. Did the kid just say Imperium Secundus? Fulgrim. And to think that people associate me with personal glory. Horus. And me. But I am quite sure that is not the case. Robot. Thank you, brother. At least someone is on my side. I am sure that if Imperium Secundus is in effect, that there was a good reason for it. Aegidius shrugged, looking at the recorder as he continued. Everyone in the city is fine, I guess. Some guys crashed and attacked. They broke a lot of stuff, but my brothers just got rid of them and nothing bad happened. All the people worked to get everything back together. Even the Eldar helped too. Mom always did say the Craftworlders are a bunch of lazy, entitled assholes who don't work for anything, and they all should— Oh wait, I don't think I could say all those bad words. Lehman, not a bad lad. Mortarion, I suddenly like this child slightly more. Guilliman, he is a child. He shouldn't know those words. Magnus, he had to have heard it before to repeat them. Is Lehman nearby by chance? Lehman, hey, Magnus. Can't blame me for this one, brother. I am right. Lehman, Wolf grumble. Ferris, apparently the child's mom has a foul mouth and talks bad about other Eldar on a regular basis. Fulgrim, Exodite perhaps? Magnus, I would disagree. Exodites tend to simply avoid their other kin. Conrad, and she's most likely not a Dark Eldar either, unless Dash. Lorger, unless of course Robot is into that sort of dash. Guilliman, again, thank you for delving so deeply into my private affairs. Well, I hope you get to come back home soon. You've been gone for a long time now, and we don't even talk on Vox or anything. So try and come back. We can play battleships or army men, or maybe we can read together. Oh, maybe I can show you my new songs? I just miss you, Dad. I miss you and Mom. The both of you are always gone, and it gets really lonely here. Aegidius smiled, waving his hands. But it's okay. I'm a big boy. I can wait until you come back. You always come back, 'cause you're the strongest, smartest, and best person in the whole galaxy. Robot, it's nice to actually hear someone speak so highly of me like that. Lorger, don't you have enough people doing that for you at home? Robot, well, this is different. He's just so earnest and everything. It's just nice to have someone feel that much love and affection towards me. That's all. Imps want to say something, but just lets it go. He shifted a bit, making himself a bit more comfortable. So, I'll be here on Macrich. I'll study every night. I'll read a new book every day. I'll make sure to wash behind my ears and everything. So stay safe. He waved again in goodbye. Bye, Dad. I love you. And say hi to Mom if you see her. Aegidius then picked up the whole recorder, dropped it again, cried out that he broke it with a curse in completely fluent Eldari. Then it cut off to a blank screen. Perturabo. And we just watched that because... Rogel. It appears that sometime into the 42nd millennium, Imperium Secundus has been reformed and robots sired in air. From what I have gathered from the child, not everything in the future is well, and that there is much more at play than what we have seen thus far. I gather that the future must be quite bleak, and that further viewing may shed more light on the subject. Perturabo. That was too informative for me to smack you. Imps. Honestly, this was kind of interesting. What say you, robot? Another one. Guilliman. Thinking deeply, yes, play the next one. Chapter 2. Worrisome. Silence was all that graced the room as the family patiently waited for the new holovid to play. Everyone had their own opinions of the child, Aegidius, and the information in these vids. Some were internally debating on whether or not watching more was going to be beneficial in the end. They did have a mountain of information of the future already. What more can one series do? Meanwhile, Horus was lounging on his throne, waiting for the next vid to play. After watching the first vid, he was reminded of something else. Imagine having to deal with children, slowly muttered Horus under his breath. Excuse you, brother. Cut and robot, surprised that he felt this strongly already. Maybe watching these vids wasn't such a good idea. Horus shrugged, a long-suffering sigh escaping him as he continued. I mean, dealing with some of you is like dealing with a bunch of children at times. Oi, what's that supposed to mean? Lehman cut him off, even as most of the family snickered. I just fell for that. Really? I hear wolves get slower in their old age, commented Magnus in a smug voice. I'm only 2,000 wolf years, OL dash. I'm sorry, but did you just say wolf years? Interrupted Magnus. Incredulity painted on his face as he regarded Lehman. It's a valid bloody measurement, accepted in the highest imperial standards. No, it bloody well isn't. I would know. I wrote that particular codex myself, along with Robout Dash. Nerds, you're insufferable. This is almost as bad as the time you tried to tell us that measuring levels of destruction should be called Angrinsta. There was a grunt of annoyance from the Red Angel himself, even as Lehman gave a wolfish grin. Well, I did also try to propose a unit for psychic catastrophe levels, but you denied it. Because calling something nerd failure levels makes no scientific sense. Magnus wasn't around for this at the time, but during the earlier stages of the Great Crusade, Lehman attempted to impose wolves for survival chances of a battle. Added on Horus, Lehman letting out a growl at this. I'm not surprised. I've heard children come up with better terms than that. Honestly, I can't remember that. Added Lehman as he reclined on his throne. What? Has all of that Space Marine level alcohol you tend to drink finally rotted away the memory part of your brain? Asked Magnus, incredulous. Nay, I can't. In fact, all I remember is that I met Horus on the day that I probably proposed that, and then we had a feast in O, so that's why. Lehman then turned to face the War Master and gained his brother's attention by tapping him on the shoulder. Say, brother, how many tables did I break that day? What? Why would you ask me that? All of them were broken dash. But how many did I personally break? Oh, I don't know, like 20 maybe? Pretty out of it then. You measure how drunk you were by broken tables? Guess who piped up? Oh, of course not. Oh, good. My intelligence was insulted just about as much as it could be by then. By how many tables I broke, along with how many women I bedded. Though of course I was much more of a bachelor back in those days. Everyone heard an audible snap as Magnus' logical mind decided to go for an extended vacation in the warp. Thankfully, this was the moment Muggos Lem decided to interrupt the incoming fight. My lords, the vid has been readied for playing. Go ahead please, Muggos, spoke the Emperor even as the projector began playing the holovid. I swear, all of you are children. 204.M42. The holovid feed came alive. This time it thankfully didn't fall over as soon as it started, obviously because the whole recorder was on a much sturdier surface. It showed Aegidius carrying some bag with him as he hurriedly pulled it off to throw onto his bed. Quickly coming to the desk chair, obviously he was excited about something and could barely contain himself. I finally figured, dash. Aegidius threw himself onto his chair, but accidentally landed on the edge, causing him to slip and crash onto the side of his desk with an audible thunk. Aegidius let out a groan from the floor, shakily bringing a hand up and waving at the recorder. I'm okay. He slowly got up from the floor, shakily grabbing onto the side of the desk and getting up. The entire lower half of his face was covered in blood as his nose was bent in an abnormal angle. Okay, that wasn't as bad, he chuckled humorlessly. Sorry, Dad. I know you don't really like it when I mess up. What was strange is that his voice had a slight whistle to it now, which surprised him as well. Wait, hold on. Emperor, Muggos. Pause, please. Robot, what dash? Lehman. How in a wolf in hell isn't that pup crying his eyes out? Magnus. I never thought I would say this, but I agree with Lehman. Robot, shocked into a worried silence. Aegidius, I don't know why he's like this. Mortarion, you're the doctor. What do you think? Mortarion, I am no expert on mutant physiology, but I'm pretty sure he must have experienced a large amount of pain early on in life, and it affected his pain receptors. Or maybe he just has a dulled sense of pain. It could be either, really. I don't really care. Robot, what could he possibly have gone through to be like that? Emperor, Robot, it's fine. He obviously doesn't see anything wrong with himself and is not dead, so it's fine. Muggos. Then he reached into his mouth and felt around a bit before wincing only slightly as he pulled out a small tooth. Oh, I lost another one. He shrugged, nonchalantly, cool. He put the tooth in some unknown container off-screen as he put his chair back up and sat down on it carefully. Hold on, I can't breathe through my nose. Robot violently begins pointing at the screen, son. What in the ever-loving food dash? Vulcan, language my dear brother. The poor young one is obviously used to the pain. Jagatai, and this being an unnerving constant in his life. I really should send a hymnal to Kagaris when I have the time. And then he broke it back into place with barely a whine or a complaint as a wet snap came from the screen as it was back in place. There we go. Oh wait, I'm covered in my own blood again. Fulgrim, shivering, ugh. I've seen that thousands of times, but I still can't get over people snapping parts back into place. He looked down to his clothing. Blood is so hard to get out of clothes. He looked back up. Okay, so I was doing a lot better. I mean, this is the first time today that I got hurt and fell over. I was doing really good too. I was watching where I was going. I made sure not to run in the halls. I swear I was good. He frowned, wiping away at the blood on his face with his sleeve. Robot, son, how can you be that clumsy with pre-march and Eldari genes in your blood? Corvus, sounds like a really unlucky mixture of genes. Emperor, that unlucky? I doubt it. There would need to be some external force in play. Robot, worries increasing exponentially. But I don't know, it just happens. I mean, I know you're going to be mad, but whenever I go to sneak peeks at the war meetings, I'm fine. But whenever I go do anything else, I get hurt. It's weird. He began to look around for a replacement shirt, leaving the screen. Robot, you do what, young man? Horus, it's not as if I wasn't attending war meetings at his age. Robot, you are a Primarch brother. And besides, our father is a horrible parent. Emperor, HEY. Okay, you might have a point. My child-raising skills were never the best. Sounds of rummaging come from the screen, Aegidius peeking his head back in. I hope you're not mad. Then back away, with a curse in Eldari. Sal Dragbran. Robot, I don't suppose I can be son. Just worried that. Realizes yet again what he is doing. Are you kidding me? Imps. Give it time. IT should go away. Robot, father, I'm worried that I might start lecturing the vid at some point. Imps. I doubt you'll get TO at that point, son. Calm down and watch the vid. Eventually, he did come back to the screen, using his old shirt to wipe away more blood. This is so hard to do without water. But if I do ask for something to help, then Big Bro will come. I don't want to deal with him. He sat back down, laying his head on the desk. Dad, I gotta ask, why did you put Big Bro Sicarius in charge of me? I mean, he isn't so bad. He has a lot of stories. He can be fun to be around. He's a good friend, and he's a great babysitter. But I'm not a baby, you know? He huffed. Sorry, I'm just kinda not happy with school. Everyone is usually so down and so full of despair, or just disappear in a day because they're becoming my brothers. It's hard to really enjoy it, or, you know? I guess constant war is just not good. Lehman, not the sharpest sword is he? Robot, he's a child brother, back off. Lehman, on Fenris he would already be fighting. Magnus, and that is why it's called a death world. Can't you fix it? Can't you just make it stop? He looked up at the screen, big eyes looking up at him, as if demanding answers. Robot, that is oddly effective. But it can't be so bad. I mean, they're going off to be Ultramarines. That's just so cool. I wish you'd let me be one, though I don't know if I'd be a good one. I fall over all the time. You tell me I have to stay home, because people get lost if I'm not. Then again, I don't even like fighting, so I guess I'd be a really lousy Ultramarine. He groaned, moving and hitting his head on the desk with a soft thunk. Robot winces. He is too young to understand the trials as of yet. Ungron, no, he is the perfect age for them. Robot, he is, but the trials are difficult and, well, dash. Magnus, you cannot see yourself putting Aegidius through them. Robot, yes. I don't know why, it must just be the instincts. Magnus, I can see that. Jagatai, want to say something, but just lets it go. Though for some reason, I see the parents of the ones who go to become Ultramarines crying sometimes when they come to the fortress. It just seems so sad when one of my brothers tells them something, then offers them a folded flag. Sanguinius, that is the reality of those who don't pass. Robot, I know. Please come home soon. I don't really have anyone to talk to. All my brothers are too busy fighting demons that appear here sometimes or going off to war. All the kids my age are kind of scared of me or just angry with me sometimes. Lots of kids tell me that they can't see their siblings anymore because of me. And the Eldari aren't much help either. The Craftworlders are still angry that they are stuck here in Macridge, and the Exodites aren't happy with leaving their maiden worlds and mainly keep to themselves in the plains and forests. And they all just either hate me or just stare at me, with some weird look on their face as they call me. He paused, thinking, he who shines brightest? Aegidius sighed. It sucks not having friends. Emperor, HEWHO shines brightest. Now, that is an interesting bit of information. Lorder. Indeed. What could he have done to earn that title? Jagatai. The Eldar do not bestow titles needlessly nor without intent. Rogel. He shines brightest. Not necessarily in the Imperium. Magnus. Rogel might just be right here. Perhaps this connects with what he said earlier. Robot. Which part? Magnus. People getting lost without him? Emperor. We need to watch more before we can set a hypothesis. Kind of funny that I finally figured out what to say on these, and it ends up making me feel really sad and lonely instead. And I was so excited to tell you all about my day, or something I learned, instead of just sending boring messages to you. Aegidius then sat up, rubbing at his cheek, scratching at the bottom of his hair. Dad, can I tell you something? And can you please not be mad at me? He pauses. I don't want to be the Emperor when I grow up. Robot what? Emperor what? Lorder what? The entire family what? He ducks his head, retracting into himself slightly. Please don't be mad. I don't even know what being an emperor is like. Being a prince is bad enough. I don't like fighting. I don't like it when other people fight. I don't even know what I should know. And this is all so much. I don't know. Why can't you just keep being the Lord Calm? Cool. Mun. Dea. Yeah, that. Why do I need to be emperor? Can't I just stay home and just read? I like reading. I went through about 1/3 of the books in the library of Hera by now. His face grew sorrowful once more. Emperor, he is destined to take my title. There is something going on here. Something far greater than what we are seeing if Robot himself has decreed it as such. Robot, I just want him to have a childhood. Fulgrim, a fair request from a parent, but Angron, this galaxy isn't fair. You have to deal with it along with the rest of us. Robot, he is just a child, Brother Dash. Angron, so was fucking I when they hammered these things into my head. Violently points at the cabling leading from his head into his armor. Life isn't fucking fair. Especially for a mutant. Get over it. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be big now, so I can't complain. I just don't know what to do. Angron, huffs. Kid's got grit, I will give him that. I'm gonna stay tough, Dad. Tough for you. Don't worry about me, I can dash. Aegidius then glanced at something off the screen. Is that the time already? I haven't done my history homework yet. I barely have 46 pages out of the 20 required ones. Magnus, the foo dash. Got to go. See you later to dash. Aegidius attempted to reach over and presumably press the power button, but looked to slip on his chair, smashing his chin on the desk as he went tumbling to the floor. Ow, not again. Turn on voice mode. He grumbled from the floor as a positive-sounding ping was heard from the holocom. Stop recording. Oh, the blood got all over Dad's model dash. The feed cut to black. Once the vid was over, all that was left was the Primarchs and a whole lot more questions than they entered with. What happened to the Emperor? To the Imperium? What was going on that Macridge was under demonic attack? Why was Aegidius proclaimed practically as a prophet by the Eldar? My brain hurts, began Magnus. The answers are a bit strange. The situation even more so. Answered the Emperor even as he was rubbing his eyes. I thought watching these vids would answer our questions, but all it did was throw more at us and not nearly enough information to answer them. Sanguinius ground out, surprising some brothers at his mood. I find cliffhangers to be upsetting. Rogel blinked, but you're not on a cliff, and you can fly. It's not like that, brother. Slowly spoke Sanguinius. Patience, brother, gently advised Horus. I have no doubt that eventually we will see all of these questions answered, if any of the other series we have watched or go by. Cliffhangers are annoying, but at least they build on things. Perturabo finally spoke up. Things that may just come falling down upon our heads like a stampede of wild Chagorian horses. Added Jagatai in a murmur as he looked to be thinking about something else. Aegidius' mind appears to be standard for a boy his age, but his physical capabilities leave much to be desired. Commented Lion from his throne. Agreed. The boy is weak. Spat Conrad from the back of the room. None of us had a choice on whether or not we wanted to lead legions and contribute to the Great Crusade. He's just acting like a spoiled child. Can we please not pick on my future son, brothers? Spoke up Robot, finally having enough insults on the behest of his son. Future dash, son? Asked the twin Primarchs, both wearing sly grins on their identical-looking faces. Well, the crusade has to end one day. And when that happens, I always had hopes of starting a family. Well, your future self seems to have taken a very long time after the crusade has ended. And with the Xenos, which nonetheless spat out mortar ion, the words leaving a sour taste in his mouth. And how would you know it's a witch that bears my son? Call it a damned hunch. You were just high enough on the loyalty chain and still proud enough of yourself that it had to have been one of the higher ranking ones. And the Eldar don't believe in political marriages as far as we know. Added on Fulgrim with a little smile of his own. If there is anyone that could stand your rambling brother, it would be one of those witches. Grinned Lehman. Didn't we see that one Eldar woman? Later on in text-to-speech, and even a few shorts on her as well, she stabbed Robot and brought him out of stasis. Corvus spoke up from the back, having been silently listening to them all, along with that over-artificed piece of armor. Added on Ferris, finally deciding to contribute to the conversation. Could it be her? I mean, I wouldn't mind. Robot's eyes went wide as he realized what he had just revealed. Jagatai spoke up quickly. Remember, brother, she spent time as a Drukari for a good couple hundred years. Vulcan and I don't have the fondest of experiences with those damn knife-eared assholes. I do not know, spoke up Vulcan. But if it means that our brother will be happy, then I will look the other way. Robot rolled his eyes. I appreciate the thought, but remember, there's a chance she isn't even around at this point. And even then, the vids of that future didn't really show much of a romance is a strong word here, but closed doors and hushed whispers are enough for me, spoke Conrad with an odd chill to his tone. So, does anyone want to talk about how I'm being replaced? The Emperor spoke up, trying to change the subject from possible ass-clapping. And not that he wanted to do the same thing, or anything. How can one replace a deity? Asked Lorger, going with the obvious diversion. I mean, not that I worship you as a god anymore, or anything, but the Imperial cult is still presumably a thing? Nice save there. But you do bring up a good point. What I really want to know is why the Eldar are either revering him or hating him. Then again, I can see a good chunk of them hating him just because he's half human. He answered, going off on a tangent thinking about all of these inconsistencies. But we haven't considered one thing. Began Horus. Aegidius never said, replace you as emperor, father. He merely said he doesn't want to be the emperor. What is that supposed to mean? Horus pondered this over. Far too little sense, with far too little information in order for us to discern what is going on. The emperor had a feeling that this was only going to get more complicated as it went on. Just like the good old days, like pieces on a regicide board all over again. Chapter 3, Bonding. As the family settled for the next vid, some of the more curious Primarchs decided to look through the multiple chests of the vids that were now recovered from the massive pile of, as of yet, unwatched vids. They all had the messages for dad title were sorted into different categories. There was just messages for dad ones, but then there were extras, wife tales, and some other menial unlabeled ones. Which one should we even watch next? Inquired Lorger, being drawn to a particular vid covered in Kalshik script. How about just continuing on with the main series? We don't know enough about the situation to watch an extra just yet, I think. Added on Magnus, holding up the next vid, even as a Macandrite of Muggos Lem gently took it from him. I might as well. Who even knows why we would look at a bloody wife tale? It just sounds like a cheap pornozzle dash. Too much information, son. Please allow me to keep at least that part of my sanity. Father, are you not some 40,000 years old? Asked Rogel, even as the Emperor turned to face him. Yes, that would be about right, Rogel. Why do you ask? Considering the era when you were born, wouldn't witnessing intercourse between your son and his wife be considered relatively norm dash? No, that is final. Imperial decree on the spot. You are not allowed to mention that ever again. Father, the Khan spoke up, gaining the Emperor's attention. I would suggest that you do not visit Kagaris while I am there. Period. I have absolutely zero issues with that. Meanwhile, Fulgrim just gave Jagatai a look, which was returned. Magnus looked to both of them, all three coming to the same conclusion, and soon, all three nodded to each other. All understood. It was a secret they would take to their graves with them. Unless, of course. Father, are you listening? HM, what did you ask, son? Nothing. Just wanted to check something. Can we just please watch the vid? The anticipation is killing me. Began Robot, even as he turned to a surprisingly impatient-looking Sanguinius. And same with Sanguinius, apparently. Yes, it damn well is. Spoke the angel. I'm far too anxious and keen to see what happens to just sit here idly, twiddling my thumbs at nothing. So that's where all the bad emotions went. You say something, father? Tentatively asked Magnus, even as the Emperor quickly waved a hand at him, showing that he was fine. Fine. Spoke the Emperor. Muggos, play it. Unfortunately, the vid they chose to view was only a few seconds long and detailed Aegidius trying to say hello, but he ended up dropping the whole recorder, which caused the vid to show a quick crack on the screen before shutting off. Robot could only pinch the bridge of his nose, a deep sigh escaping him. The antics of his son were different, to say the least. Here he thought that Eldari were graceful, deliberate in their actions and words. His son may be half Eldari, but still, he expected something. He cared about him, of course, but he still felt as if Aegidius wasn't the best. Well, that was a quick one. Fulgrim quipped from the other side of the viewing room. I don't know how he does it. Robot answered, not looking at the screen. I really don't. It's exceptionally hard for a whole recorder to break in the hands of a 7-year-old. Robot, believe me when I say this. A 7-year-old can cause a lot of trouble. Magnus spoke up, a faraway look in his eye. Back on Kagaris, they compare the youngest children to drunk, angry midgets. Fulgrim shuddered, knowingly grateful that he wouldn't have to deal with that. At this point, the Emperor glanced at the three of them, his suspicion building from the last few vids. Do you three have something you need to tell me? The poker faces of the three would have impressed him if he didn't already know they were hiding something from him. He could have and would have used his own abilities to force the information from them, but he was trying to be a better father to them. So forcing it out wouldn't be appropriate at this time. Not at the moment, father. Magnus answered, not looking at the Emperor. Jagatai shrugged. Kagaris has many children, and I have dealt with them on numerous occasions. He answered honestly. Technically, we are all fathers, you know. Added on Fulgrim. Astartes being our gene sons, and all that. The Emperor looked at Fulgrim. He had a sneaking suspicion that all three of them were hiding something very big from him. And knowing how both Jagatai and Fulgrim could both be very eloquent without really saying it all, Fulgrim looked at Jagatai, desperation evident on his features. Jagatai glanced at Magnus, lifting an eyebrow even as Magnus recoiled and quickly shook his head even as the Emperor looked at him again. Then Magnus had a brilliant idea. He looked at Rogel and gave him the psychic equivalent of a nudge. Rogel looked at Magnus even as he lifted an eyebrow, and Magnus moved his head suggestively while sending him a mental request for a later personal meeting. The Emperor now looked at Rogel even as Rogel gave a curt nod in Magnus' direction, and the Master of Mankind recoiled in shock. His train of thought was violently derailed. 204 M42, Aegidius Room, Fortress of Hera. The vid started up suddenly, but what was strange was how Aegidius wasn't paying attention to the screen at all. Suddenly, it all made sense. On screen, Aegidius seemed to be writing on some parchment, face scrunched up and his tongue sticking out of his mouth slightly as he worked. His pen quickly moved, every now and then he would scratch at his hair, idly grabbing and pulling a particular strand that just happened to curl more than the rest. Robot noticed something, however, for how clumsy his son appeared to be while living. Writing appeared not to be an issue, however. The writing utensil that he was using was flowing gracefully along the parchment, as if it was a leaf falling in the autumn times of Macridge. Inti desha, tila eldari shwatil esha zinanon. Seen in Arsarinia Feor, Ilene, Aegidius muttered to himself as he wrote. He sighed, stupid propaganda lines. Tutors making me write about how great the Eldari Empire was. I wish I didn't have to learn Eldari. High Gothic is so much easier. Robot, wait a moment. Oh, come on. Really? Corvus, what is it? Robot, those lines he's writing are basically saying about how great the Eldar are and how it's their divine right to conquer the galaxy. Noticeable sounds of anger from Vulcan and Jagatai. Magnus, of course they are. Of fucking course they are. Emperor, divine right, my ass. They had their chance, and they fucked it all up. Hope they aren't trying to make him become an Eldar supremacist. Robot, do you honestly think I would let them? Really hope I don't have to meet with a tutor today. They're always so stuffy. Stupid banana heads. Snickers from the family. Oh, Aegidius suddenly realized as a tiny beep alerted him to the holocron apparently having low battery. Oh, it turned on. He reached over to most likely turn it off, but couldn't quite reach it. Oh, he's some ADH Aldrakuri horde dash. He got up and put one knee on his desk. Apparently, though, he forgot about the very slippery plastic flimsies that he was writing on. He screamed as he slid backward and landed straight on his behind, even as the plastic flimsies were sent flying, gently fluttering toward Aegidius like leaves. Robot, wait. Pause. The vid paused. Robot, reverse, 2 seconds. The vid reversed. On the screen, there was a clear shot of the plastic flimsy and what Aegidius was writing. Robot, oh, you gotta be kidding me, furiously rubs eyes. Sanguinius, what is the matter? It looks like fine Eldari to me. Robot, he mixed up the words. Lorgar, which ones? Emperor, all of them. Every single one. Robot, even the spelling is off. Everything is off. I'm not sure how he did it, but well, Eldari is notoriously complex, even for me. So it's not so bad. Magnus, I speak it well enough. Robot, yes, but you had more time than me, and actually, How did you learn? Magnus. Sudden far away and frightened look? Practice. A lot of practice. Lorger. Are those drawings next to the runes? Ferris. Looks like Marines shooting at Tyranids. Fulgrim. He's quite flamboyant with the blood. Ungron. I see nothing wrong with portraying reality. Magnus. I don't think that was being flamboyant. Fulgrim. What then? Magnus. I think he might have just spilled a container of ink. Robot. Of course he did. Aegidius groaned from the floor again, then let out a whoop of joy. Yes. Didn't lose a tooth. Robot. Facepalming. After a few seconds, he tried to get up, only to yelp in pain. Damn it. I think I broke something again. Robot. Language young man. Sanguinius. He just broke a bone, and you're focused on his language. Robot. Okay, you have a point, but dash. Corvus. Just admit it. Robot. Fine. Oh, that's my tailbone. Aegidius yelled out from the floor. Soon, the door to his room was kicked open from off-screen. The sound of heavy power armor and frantic steps, and soon, a custodes with the red of the companions was on screen. My liege, what happened to you now? Shield Captain Poponius demanded. Emperor, what? What the actual? Lehman, what te fuck? Aegidius, from the floor, groaned. I'm sorry. I saw my recorder turn on, and I tried to reach, and well, now I broke my tailbone. Again, no sign of the boy crying, or even being in pain from having a broken bone. The custode sighed as he gingerly picked up the tiny boy and gently held him in his arms. You just can't seem to keep yourself from getting hurt, can you? Just last week that large scrape on your cheek healed up. Your nose finally fixed itself, and now you have a broken tailbone. Robot, how much does he break? Mortar ion. Sounds like it's nearly weekly. Daily or scrapes. Robot, this won't negatively affect him, will it? Mortar ion. Still not a xeno specialist, so I don't know. A human kid? I'd say he's probably lacking in calcium and should go on a special diet to help fortify their bodies so they won't be stunted in growth and or suffer from certain diseases and cancers later on. Aegidius grumbled, settling in Poponius's arms and looking comically small compared to him. I don't mean to. Poponius sighed, looking down at the little boy and sternly admonishing him with, I know actual Marines and custodes who have experienced less than you have. A young boy like you shouldn't be suffering like this. We will help you overcome this enigma of your life and time. A boy of only 7 shouldn't be having to see the apothecary this often. Robot, wait, he's only 7 years old. Magnus, yeah, that makes sense. He does still have that baby fat around his cheeks and jawline, still has that bounce to himself, kind of short and lanky still. Corvus, how do you know that? Magnus, from a book. I read a lot. Rogel, this is true. Magnus' personal quarters are actually the library. Pertrabo, that's technically true. Corvus, this is still suspicious as all hell, you know. Mortar ion, I agree. Where are you hiding, witch? Magnus, I am hiding nothing. I just read a lot. All of you are just suspicious for no reason. Lehman, who cares? The nerd reads. Jagatai, I recommend we move on and watch the vid. Ferris, I agree, just move on. Suspicious grumbling. Aegidius crossed his arms over his chest, a big frown on his face as he thought over everything Puppy told him. It wasn't his fault. It was just so unfair. How long is this one going to last? I'm not an apothecary, my liege. But I estimate 3 weeks, my liege, and you won't be able to sit. Emperor, did the custodes just call him his liege? Are you kidding me? Groaned Aegidius. This suakux. Well, maybe next time you will be more careful, my liege. I'm trying. Harumphed Aegidius, even as Poponius began carrying him off screen. Things just kind of happen, puppy. Poponius, my liege. Things just happen. I don't mean it to, but I just get hurt, and there isn't really much I can do about it. I just let myself fall, cause stopping it usually means more broken bones or more damage. He puffed his cheeks in anger, looking like a slightly miffed puppy who lost his favorite toy. Robote, no. Jagatai, I can't feel it. Magnus, the power, it is too strong. Fulgrim, I am powerless to it. Ungron, what the hell is wrong with all of you? Robot, he's just too cute. Magnus, it is a weakness. I cannot best it. Lehman, all he's doing is making eyes and puffing his cheeks all of why are on something dash. Fulgrim, you just don't understand. He's too adorable. Secret Club snickering. But you're always there for me at least. The family saw the edges of a smile, even as Aegidius was carried off. We are your companions, my liege. Of course we are. Emperor Constantine, get your gold-plated rear end in here right now. At this point, no one was on the vid any longer, and after Muggos Lem confirmed there was nothing left, it was shut off. A few seconds, and the Captain General and his host barged into the room, coming before their emperor. The Captain General, Constantine Valder, stepped forward to the emperor. My emperor, what is it you require? The emperor violently pointed at the vid. The fuck, Constantine? Am I missing something, my emperor? The emperor looked back at the screen, only to notice that it was black. Muggos, turn the damn thing back on again. Show him the custodes. The poor Muggos fiddled around with the projector as he desperately hurried to set it up again, somehow managing to do so only in seconds, and soon the loop of the custodes calling Aegidius, my liege, was playing. Explain, demanded the emperor, looking completely serious. My liege, is that an Eldari human hybrid? Valder asked, confused. What? Yes, not the damn point. Why are you calling it your liege? Hey, piped up Robot. Aegidius is a he not in it. Details. Explain, Constantin. What do you mean details? He is your grandson. Robot kept popping up, willing to defend his not-born-yet son. You know what I mean. Primarch Guilliman, you have a son? Asked one of the other companions in the room. Another clapped for some reason, while putting his flamer away. Again, details for later. Constantine, what in the ever-loving fuck are you doing bowing to him? Sire. What? I presume that like the TDS series, these are from the future? Trying to bring back reason, Valder continued. Yeah, what about? You mixed up the timelines again, sire. Oh, for fuck's dash. It happens, sire. No, it fucking doesn't. Not to anyone half competent anyway, snickered Magnus, even as the emperor whirled on him. Is that a challenge, Sonny? Not a challenge, if I know I'm going to slaughter you before you have a chance. Magnus kvipit. The silent custodes covered the part of his helmet where his mouth would be, looking between the two of them. Just like you did the webway. Some of the present custodes recoiled in shock, even as Conrad let out a wheeze of laughter. I did not do that yet, okay, yelled back Magnus in his defense. How about breaking all of my edicts? And what do you mean by yet? Conrad now outright laughed as Magnus desperately attempted to defend himself. You know why I broke them? Then how about making a deal with an intergalactic tumor? All right, enough please. Yes, enough please. Magnus is almost on literal fire. Spoke up Corvus. And Conrad has started to get a regular human shade of skin from all of the laughter, pointed out Sanguinius. I am not done yet. So are we dismissed? Constantine asked, looking back to the emperor, who just waved them off. While leaving, Flamer Custodes turned around, looked toward Rogel, and waved at him. Rogel nodded and gave a wave and slight smile back as he left. The emperor gave him a look, and they promptly ignored the issue for now. So how about we watch more vids? The emperor supplied, hoping to ignore his blunder and hoping the secret doesn't get out. Hold on, so you can criticize me, but I can't even fire back. Yeah, lid Magnus. Sure, Sonny. The last of the custodes leaving the room froze and turned around in absolute shock from the words that just came from the emperor's mouth. Oh, let the personality slip a bit too much. Sorry about that. You can just go. The silent custodes paused, then shook his head and left with the others, done with his father's nonsense for today. All the while, Muggos Lem finally found the next vid. Shall I play it on Missia? The emperor merely waved a hand at him, indicating that he should, and soon the vid began to play. 204 to M42, Fortress of Hera. Robot, wait, that's not his room. Aegidius was sitting in a rigid chair, facing the whole recorder. A scowl on his face, even as the very recognizable form of Cato, Sicarius, stood next to him. Explain, my liege, came a surprisingly strict voice from the captain. Robot what? Mortarion, he is different. Sanguinius. That voice threw me off for a second. Aegidius sighed before bowing his head in apparent shame. Dad, don't be mad at me, please. I just wanted to see what was going on. Robot, see what was going on? What does he mean? Did he sneak out of the fortress? Or? Sanguinius. Watch and we find out, brother. Aegidius looked up towards Sicarius with a guilty look even as the captain nodded. I snuck into the war room. Robot. You what, young man? Sicarius made a hand motion, as if there was more to be said. Aegidius scowled. Come on. Can I please not do this? My tailbone. It hurts, he weakly whined. That's not true, and you know it. Say it. Sicarius quickly responded, cutting off the act from the child. Fine. I snuck into the war room, and I made Uncle Lehman's fur cloak catch on fire. And Uncle Vulcan's favorite mug lost its handle. And Uncle Conrad may have accidentally gone blind after I shone too brightly when they found me. Lemon, why you are fucking but gaido? Magnus, chokes on drink of water. Vulcan, I forgive you, little mutant nephew. Conrad, goodness gracious me, this reality can't possibly be real, can it? Sanguinius, what? Conrad, what did you just say? And why are you there? Conrad, I don't know and I don't want to know. Robot, how? How is my son? A little whirlwind of destruction. Rogel, if he was not so physically similar to you, brother, I would suggest that he is in fact Perturabo's son. Konrad, Stern Ashole Vize Stern. Perturabo. Okay, how about you go and couple with a cactus? Visible shock and pause. Rogel, I shall do this. Imperative, no rogad. Don't actually do it, damn it. Rogel, cacti are mighty natural fortifications. Surely there's much to be learned from them. And what else? Sicarius prodded, wanting him to admit to the final part. Aegidius glanced at the screen, then back to Sicarius, then back and forth. Please don't make me say it. Just get over with. Silence. Then a sigh from the child as he mentally fortified himself, the chair around him slowly getting covered with frost and soon, full-on ice crystals. I'm sorry that I broke the war table and summoned a demon into the room. Magnus. What the actual fuck? Rogel. The table is meant to be leaned on by potentially hundreds of regular human beings. Robot. For once the obviousness is actually useful. How? By all the marble on Macridge. Did he break a war table, summon a daemon? And how is IC forming all over him? Emperor. The ice part is merely his psychic anger being pent up and expressed. Even AS, only a partial Eldaria's psychic potential is most likely massive. Summoning a demon, though? Lorger. Not even I know where to begin. Magnus. Me neither. Robot. This is just getting worse and worse for the poor boy. Angron. Sometimes I can't even tell if you care or just act like it for the damn nobility of it all, Guilliman. Robot. I am beyond offended you would actually think that about me. I swear that it's real, brother. I'm just still overwhelmed is all. Jagatai. I recall the young boy saying something about demons on Macridge last time, and with how he reacts when uncomfortable, I can see how. Horus. Imperium Secundus being active would also mean far, far smaller borders. Mortarion. It's all just going to hell. Conrad. Thanks for a bit. Yeah, everything really is going to shit. How does this make you feel? Looking directly at the Emperor. Emperor, honestly, fucking terrible. I mean, my custodes have abandoned me. The entire Imperium is falling apart, and my grandson is a complete and utter klutz. Robot I can't even complain about that. Emperor, not T.O. fucking mention that apparently a daemon just manifested itself in the war room. Thank goodness that there were Primarchs there to protect him. Imagine what would have happened. Robot, Father, please just don't. I don't want to imagine that. Magnus, depends on the demon to be fully truthful, but if it destroyed the war table. Lehman, bugger must have been massive. And that's why I'm personally sending this message to our father, so he can make sure you don't do something like this again. Sicarius ground out to Aegidius, crossing his arms over his chest plate and looking down at the child. And right when we got word back that your mother is coming back to the planet soon. Wait, no, you can tell Dad. I can take the 2-hour lecture. But please no, don't tell, MOM. Do you have any idea what it's like when she gives that look of pure disappointment? I swear, Big Biro, she stares directly into my soul and judges me. He began to beg, hoping his mother wouldn't hear about what he did. Jagatai winces. Fulgrim covers his face. Magnus, oh no. Vulcan, the dreaded mother of anger. Robot, flashbacks to Yutin's punishments. Big bro, please no. The last time, she even made me meditate for hours. Then I had to stand in the corner. I am way too old for her. Sicarius quickly held up a hand. Far too much detail, my liege. Far too much. You have made your point. Thank you, big bro. Thank you. Last time I was sore for a week. You need to be careful, my liege, chided Sicarius once more, even as he gave a surprisingly gentle pat on Aegidius' head. Now, I do believe the milk rations are stocked up more than they should be. The family didn't actually see the captain's face, as due to Aegidius' short stature, the holocron appeared to only be able to capture Sicarius from the chest downwards, though they did notice the captain's distinguishable helmet maglock to his thigh. Robot, rations for milk? But Agriworld Herba should be relatively nearby. I really don't like where this is going. Does that mean we can have ice cream? Asked Aegidius, a hopeful look on the child's face, even as a surprising chuckle was heard from the captain. Only if you promise to be good from now on. I will. I promise. No more demons. I'm going to focus and do my homework and train and dash. Vulcan. He is but the cutest little mutant. Robot. I don't know whether to be offended or not, but I am far too inclined to agree with you to be angry at that statement. Emperor. Indeed, absolutely adorable. Magnus. Just wait until he gets to puberty. Emperor. What was that, young man? Magnus. Nothing at all. A chuckle was heard from the captain in growing volume as Aegidius continued to give reasons as to how good he would be. Your strategy is sound, little brother. Come. Sicarius held out an armored hand. Let's go find some ice cream. Yay, yelled Aegidius, even as he quickly took the captain's hand, and they walked off screen, even as one of them apparently pressed the button to stop recording. Emperor. Well, that's that, I suppose, dash. Rogel, father. There is more. Emperor. Wait, what? But the message is over. Rogel. There is more. The vid would have shut off into a black screen, but it has not. And this was true. The vid continued on. The feed fuzzed into what appeared to be a security holocron of the corridor. There were various other people and servitors walking about, but down the middle quickly padded Aegidius, holding on to Sicarius' hand and occasionally lifting himself on it, giggling as they went. Occasionally, he would lift his little brother higher, bringing whoops of joy from the child. Sicarius' footsteps were tiny in comparison to the tread of a usual space marine. And on the captain's face was a big dumb grin. Robot, it's actually kind of nice to see both Aegidius and even Sicarius actually enjoying themselves. Lion, why doesn't he just carry him? They'd obviously get to their destination quicker if they just stopped wasting time. Vulcan, I would not call that wasting time, my brother. They are just having fun. Sanguinius, having fun every now and then does wonders for morale, you know. Emperor, it's kind of comical to see a space marine taking such care. Slow down and just have fun. I wonder why. Huh. I suppose the crusade doesn't leave much time to themselves to just slow down and enjoy their time. The feed buzzed over to another cam, to what appeared to be a storage warehouse. The two figures walked over to a box labeled Goods and Morale, and Sicarius Pride opened the sealed box, pulling out a tiny container of ice cream and giving it to a very jumped-up Aegidius. Aegidius appeared to say something to the captain, which made Sicarius smile again, even as the boy sat down on a small crate, and using the tiny attached spoon, began to eat the ancient treat. He stopped midway to his mouth and appeared to offer some to the captain, who reluctantly denied the treat, and instead sat on a crate of his own, unlocking the plasma pistol at his thigh and beginning to check the weapon for any issues. Robot, yeah, now I can see it. He definitely is my son. Vulcan, you would definitely instill a humbleness into him. Angron, you? Humble? That's a fucking laugh. Robot, I can be, you know, and I would want my children to know to both be humble and giving. And from what I can see, there isn't much to share. Aegidius ate his tiny serving of ice cream in about a minute and then looked up at Sicarius again, who was now in the process of fine-tuning the plasma pistol. The boy uttered something which appeared to surprise the captain, but then Sicarius reluctantly nodded and removed the plasma cell of the pistol before handing it over to the tiny princeling. He placed it very gently into both of Aegidius' outstretched hands and let go very slowly, only for Aegidius to be almost instantly knocked over by the weight, prevented from falling only by the captain grabbing onto the collar of his jacket. The plasma pistol, too, was saved in the last instant, Sicarius sweeping it up with his other hand. Aegidius sat back down on his crate with a sad look on his face and appeared to mutter something. The captain knelt in front of him and put the plasma pistol onto his lap, while saying something that caused a grin to appear on the child's face, even as curious, tiny hands roamed over the entire pistol, tracing every bit of artifice on the weapon, even as Sicarius pointed to various buttons and switches, appearing to explain how it worked. Aegidius then attempted to lift it again, only to not be able to even really nudge the heavy weapon. But instead of getting frustrated, he seemed to emit a laugh, one matched by the captain, even as the vid cut to black. The vid was finally over, the screen black, and nothing else was showing up. Mugos Lem began the rites of cleaning and so on, while the family just absorbed that final scene in the storehouse. He really is a sweet child, isn't he? Sanguinius spoke up, feeling fuzzy from the last moment. Robot nodded, a smile gracing his face as he thought back to not just this vid, but the rest of them. He was embarrassed to feel the overwhelming urge to respond to a vid of the future and how much he wanted to know about this boy. It was shocking and, at times, frightening on how much he cared in such a short time. This might be how parents usually feel. He really is, despite how clumsy, how much of a whirlwind of destruction he can be, and how he seems to fumble through his studies. I honestly don't care. He's a good kid, and I'm proud of him. Chapter 4, Regicide. Since the last time, the family had already watched 3 of the vids of the future. Technically 4, but that one was so short, it was barely even a vid at all. The last vid ended with Aegidius and Cato having a genuinely sweet moment, how the boy first thought to share with his brother, before even taking a bite of his treat. To Robot, this action was what wouldn't leave his mind. Something so small, so insignificant, was enough to solidify something in his own mind. He knew why it did. The future was alluding to a much darker, more broken future. A future that put the future of the vids before to shame. If only they could see more, learn more about the future, maybe then they would have a better understanding on how to stop it. From what he was able to gather from the vids so far, beyond what his son would show, it had to allude to a darker picture. Rationing. Even inside the fortress of Hera, from what he was able to gather, there were frequent war councils that his son was able to peek in on and illusions of the emperor being gone. Or even worse, if he possibly could be dead. How Aegidius was already being pressured to becoming the new emperor. Robot just knew that everything must be beyond grim, if this is what he had gathered so far. We need to watch more, father. Robot spoke up, looking over to the emperor, who nodded to himself. Even if these messages are meant for me, the world beyond, the Imperium has more for us to learn from. If you would permit, we could watch more to gain a better understanding of what lies in the far future. I agree, Robot. There are a few parts of this that worry me, especially since your Imperium Secundus is in effect. The Emperor had at first been livid at the idea that Robot had planned for Imperium Secundus, his first thought being his son would usurp his power. But after some thought and consideration, having a backup plan in case the worst happened was a good idea. Not to mention that Custode's father, Horus, spoke up from the Emperor's right. How they called the boy their liege is worrying, to say the least. I agree with Robot. More can be learned from. He gestured a hand to the pile of vids, as if they were waiting to be played, to show their secrets. I am intrigued. I would like to see the fortifications of Macridge. There was the summoning of a demon into the heart of the fortress of Hera. Rogel intoned, making Perturabo sigh as he ignored the Praetorian. So, we all agree? The Emperor looked to the rest of his sons, who all either agreed or would grunt in disinterest. Great. Muggos, please play the vid that is closest to the last. Muggos Lem nodded and came to the pile, pulling out the next, pausing. Omniscia. A look, and then he brought up a few more vids with his other hand and a few of his mechadendrites. There are more vids now. What? Magnus blinked a few times before looking and quickly counting the vids again before stopping and counting yet again. What? Magnus? The Emperor asked, looking between his son and the vid pile. He began to quickly count the pile as well, then came to the same conclusion. What? What the hell is wrong with ye? Lehman asked, looking between his father and brother. Muggos Lem spoke up, answering the question that the Omniscia and his son would not answer, the both of them squawking more what is. There are more vids than before, my lord. There were 136 vids, however there are now 172. What? Lehman looked at the pile, quickly counting as well, then throwing his hands into the air as he tried to figure out how 36 more vids came to be. No one touched the pile, right? Fulgrim asked. Ferris gained a flat look on his face as he tried to comprehend how this possibly could have happened. Fulgrim tried to figure out how this happened, but other than warp fuckery, there wasn't much reason on how this happened in the first place. I assure you, no one has touched the pile. It's just been sitting there. Magnus spoke up, using his powers to sort through the vids as he counted them again, angry that the number was still the same. They had been sitting there since the chest opened, and we began to watch the vids. And somehow, there are more vids. The only ones who weren't perplexed by this happened to be the two who had first found said vids. The twins looked at each other, then to the open chest. Perhaps this chest spoke, maybe Alfarius, as possibly Omegon continued, is a warp anomaly that then they spoke together, maybe we shouldn't even try to understand. You want us to not try to understand what the hell happened that 36 new vids just materialized into existence without us noticing? Magnus could feel his patience and a bit of his sanity slipping away at the sheer madness of this statement. Yes, the twins grinned, speaking together. Or did they? Just to be fair, there has been weirder things in my life, slowly spoke Magnus, rubbing his eyes in defeat. From his own throne, Ongron spoke up finally. And I don't fucking care how it happened. It did. Now shut up and let's get this over with. The sooner we start, the sooner we don't have to see any more of the Smuffs brat. Guilliman gave an angry glare towards his brother, who reciprocated it with his own uncaring look even as the vid finally began to play. 204 M42, Fortress of Hera. The vid opened up into darkness. Oh wait, the lens is turned down. The whole recorder was twisted around, showing Aegidius' blank expression. Surprisingly, there were a few healing scratches upon his face. It was in disarray and dirty with what appeared to be dust, while the part of his uniform that was visible looked slightly torn and dirty. Robot, what happened to him? Sanguinius, I don't know, just wait. Lion, hilarious that you tell him to wait. Sanguinius, what do you mean by that? Conrad, give it time. Suddenly, a white armored hand, holding a damp gauze, came into the frame and lightly brushed one of the scratches. You don't need to do that, weakly protested Aegidius, even as the hand retreated, the gauze slightly red from blood. Just one more scratch do, disinfect, little lord. Came the rumble of a marine's voice from a helmet's voxcaster. The hand reappeared again, holding what appeared to be fresh damp gauze, and brushed another scar before quickly retreating. Aegidius now looked out of frame, presumably at the apothecary who was tending to him. Thank you, brother, he said, the light smile appearing to be genuine. Only doing my duty, my liege, spoke the voice of screen again, even as a massive rumble shook wherever they were. Robot, oh, okay, maybe he just fell over again. Lorger, must have been one hell of a trip if he managed to scuff himself and his uniform up that much. Robot, everything is fine dash. Conrad, Fate has a way of destroying ignorance. All Astartes forces within the fortress. All Astartes forces within the fortress. Came a voice from a loud vox speaker. Deploy to the western gate. Deploy to the western gate. Robot. OH, come on, Dash. Conrad. Told you. A marine was heard running off-screen. Presumably the apothecary, even as Aegidius sighed, an unhappy frown appearing on his face even as his ears sagged. All because of me, he murmured even as he turned the holorecorder away from him, showing a long, expansive, well-decorated hallway. Lorgar, underground, obviously, but where? Robot, the hall of the revered dead, in the fortress of Hera. What is he doing there? Rogel, it appears to be well fortified. Thus, he is there for the purposes of his own security. Most likely, Emperor. I am wondering what he means by how it is because of him. Vulcan, or why our little nephew is so calm during an attack. The holorecorder moved even as Aegidius' awkward footsteps were heard, the sound of his boots lightly tapping off of the marble floor soon becoming a constant rhythm next to the occasional explosion, which caused a tremor. He walked for a while until he finally stopped at one of the massive alcoves that were periodically scattered across the entire length of the hallway. The holorecorder was pointed into the alcove, and its occupant revealed. Rogel, Dreadnoughts. Guilliman. Indeed, the hall is where we give them rest, but this dreadnought. Emperor, it's one of mine. A custodes. Horus. HM, so the dreadnoughts made it too. Emperor, but this one looks familiar. Brother Santoda. Emperor, are you kidding me? He's still alive. Collective shuddering as they remember it. Corvus. At least he's inside of a regular dreadnought and not his unique one. Emperor. Small miracles. A word was heard, as apparently the dreadnought inside of the alcove was only in a light slumber, despite all of the cabling and tubes being attached. Door increased into a steady whine as the dreadnought's eye lenses light up, indicating that he had fully awakened. Emperor, wait, what? What? Ferris, aren't dreadnoughts only able to be awoken by Dash? Emperor, the custodes in their DRE-DNUGHDS only answer, and it can be woken by me and or an extensive awakening procedure by a tech marine. How in a shit is he able to do it? Lorgar, I really wish I had an answer to this. Kid can't possibly be Dash. Robot, call my son with any description even remotely related to the divine, and I will personally throw my throne at you, Lorgar. Lorgar, okay, fine. Emperor, I want some fucking answers. Did somebody call for me? Came the deep, bass-like rumble of the dreadnought's voice, moments before the head turned and fixed Aegidius with a stare. Ah, little liege, what can I do for you today? Emperor, even he is calling him liege. What in the hell? Lorgar, I thought you said hell didn't EXI Dash. Emperor, don't push your luck, sonny. I am beyond furious right now. There is an in. The entire hallway shook again, even as some dust came flying down. Attack. The dreadnought spoke. Have you awakened me for battle? No, I just want some time alone, and did you bring the board? Ferris, did he just awaken a custodes DRE-UGHDTO play regicide while an attack is going on? Robot, yes. Yes, he did. Aegidius, send him up there, don't just waste his time, Dash. Emperor, one of my golden boys is being used as a glorified nanny for your son. One of my beautiful golden boys in a DRE-DNOUGHD is being used to entertain a child. I don't know if I should be even more livid or fucking laugh. Lorgar, careful, or you'll get so angry, you'll enter a homeostasis of anger. Emperor, that doesn't fucking exist, Lorgar. Robot, actually yes it does. Emperor, you're not helping, Robot. Yeah, a very familiar looking board was shown in front of the holorecorder. I was able to grab it when I had to run here. I only tripped 3 times on the way. Robot, did he seriously, just take down my personal regicide board that was passed down from my father, Konar, from his father, down to the hall of the revered dead? Konrat, yeah, he did. Can't wait for this payoff. Robot, what payoff? Sanguinius, you'll see. Lorgar slowly begins to grin. There was a slight rumble from the dreadnought. Perhaps laughter? Indeed. Shall we play then? Yeah. Oh, and Dash. A hand came in front of the holorecorder, lifting it higher. I'm going to record it, so I can get better. Good strategy, little one. Praised the dreadnought, even as Aegidius quickly padded over and sat down on the marble floor in front of the giant before opening up the board. Corvus, are we really seeing a dreadnought and a child playing a game of regicide in a crypt while there's a battle going on above them? Lehman, yep. Emperor, correction. We are about to watch a child misuse my golden boy to play a game of regicide in a crypt while what sounds to be a pretty bad and dangerous battle rages on above them in the fortress of Hera. Am I the only one who sees how insane this is? Robot, of course I see how insane this is, father. All of us do. Jagatai. Pointing out the obvious isn't really our strong suit. We have Rogel for that. Rogel, I dash. Perturabo. Smacks. Rogel. My point is made. Perturabo what? Rogel wink. Perturabo. Played like a damned piece on a Reggie. I give up. Would you like to be emperor, little one? Rumbled the dreadnought, even as the board powered up, generating random pieces, and Aegidius let out a slight whine. I not really know. One day that very role might be upon you. You cannot avoid destiny forever. Yeah, I know sure I guess. I will be emperor. Emperor, internally screaming. Fantastic. Then I shall begin, world claimer to C3. The piece moved via the voice command, and Aegidius quickly reached out a hand. I move. I move. Guard to C5. The piece moved. You look disturbed, little liege. Did something other than the attack happen? Aegidius let out a slight groan. No, my liege, there is no need to lie to me. I will. Earlier, the feed suddenly switched over to the much more familiar view of Aegidius' room. This time, the recorder captured the massive space of the middle part of his room, with the shiny marble flooring, the centerpiece of the tiling of the ultramarine sigil with an Eldari twist upon it. Aegidius sat on the floor upon some cushions, an empty spot before him, as if waiting to be filled. Robot, wait, hold on. Last time we saw camera splicing, but now this is entirely different. As soon as he says this, somehow, the vid changes to the event. Horus, that must mean someone is making these vids, putting them together, and is sending them to us. Conrad, like the fucking transdimensional chest of vids, being sent through a warp hyperbole and time current didn't make that obvious. Magnus, what did you just say, Conrad? Conrad, what? What are you babbling on about? Magnus, asterisk obvious confirmation asterisk. From this perspective, and being so close to an Eldari, the boy's own features really started to come out. From the shape of his eyes, his own cheekbones, and even from how long his own body was. But also his human features, from his brow, nose, and even how chubby he was compared to the elder Eldari. Robot, urge to pinch cheeks increased. Focus, young one. You must focus. I am, grunted Aegidius, even as an Eldar farcer in full armor slowly walked into view. By the god's child. Not so much that you tense up. Relax your muscles. Let your body sink to the floor, then push your mind outwards. The farcer paced through the room, explaining the process with a hint of annoyance on his face from the action. He imagined that slamming his head into a wall would be much more productive use of his time. Magnus, oh come on. Teaching children about the warp and how to use their powers is a long, tedious process. Anyone who has done that before would understand that. Emperor, so dash. Magnus, you do know I came from a planet that encourages and teaches young psychers all the time, correct? Emperor, you thought I was going to ask you about something else? Magnus, sputters in surprise. Jagatai, to be fair, you have been asking us about that a lot. I'm trying, grunted Aegidius, his face going redder by the minute. The farcer threw his hands up and shot back. By the relax. You are tensed up, but, I'm trying my best. He opened his eyes and looked up at the farcer. The child was shivering ever so slightly. No, you were at least in the beginnings of a trance. Now we have to start all over. What? All 30 minutes? Yes. He looked down at the child, a look of resignation painted for all to see. Because you cannot simply escape your mind. Lorger, is that how it usually goes when doing that type of training? Magnus, not really. If they have been at this for as long as they said, then I can understand some frustration. Getting into a trance-like state should be doable by any young psycher with the right training. But if they've been at this for a year and he still hasn't made much progress, I am trying dash. Not enough, but dash. Excuses. I am dash. A tear came to Aegidius' eye. He was trying so hard. It was not his fault none of this made sense. His teacher just expected him to know what it meant to meditate, or how to look at his soul, or anything about the psychic arts. He just wanted to scream. Sound of metal bending. The family turned to Robot, who had bent the armrests of his throne. Robot, I'm going to kill every single fucking Eldar I get my hands on. Rogel, then how will you have your son? Perturabo, smacks. Robot, face slowly goes red. Rogel, it was a valid question. Trying. Yes, you have said so for the umpteenth time. But it is not enough. How can you expect yourself to yield the currents of the Great Sea if you cannot even focus properly? The farcer began to rub at his temples. He never should have agreed to teach this half-breed. Prophet or not. Emperor, again with this whole title and prophet business. I swear, we better get some answers soon, or else Sanguinius will start chewing through his throne. Sanguinius. And no, I wouldn't. The visions he has had about the boy didn't make any sense. The boy was supposed to wield power untold, to light the path of redemption and renewal. The visions had told so much about the boy, But none of this was working. They had been at this for nearly a year, and the boy could still barely make his way past his own mortal body. Emperor stops and thinks about what this means. No, he couldn't. It would make sense, but maybe not. It would make sense. The distress was now evident on the poor boy's face. He was doing something wrong. He knew he was. None of this made sense. He just kept making mistakes. What was wrong with him? Why couldn't he just do something right? Robot. Snap's hand rests clean off. Damn your Monkey father. If only the emissary could have lain with a pure breed. He muttered to himself, knowing that all of these problems just had to be about the boy's parentage. If this was a full Eldar child, he wouldn't be this useless. Robot, wait and oh. Mordorion. Brother, I am sickened and disappointed. Robot, we barely even talked in the future. How is this my fault? Sanguinius. Can we just watch and talk later? This snapped Aegidius out from his own thoughts, focusing on his teacher. Hey, can you please not talk about Dad ? Unless, the Farseer had an idea. What if he were to help Aegidius along? Provoking anger has helped many students before unlock their potential. So what would happen if you were to provoke him? Oh, so your father is who gets you out of your stupor. Magnus, are you kidding me? Emperor, what in the fucking fuck? No, that is a terrible, awful idea. Robot, nervousness intensifying. Lorger, bets on how badly this will backfire? Conrad, 300 on him causing another incident. Robot, you're taking bets on how badly my son will fuck up? Horus, now, Robot, calm yourself. This is entirely inappropriate, of course, and they did not say fuck up. They specified incident that said put me on 400 thrones on him, fucking up. Robot, you can go to hell. Horus, dickish snickering. Jagatai, put me down for 1,000 on the instructor not walking away from this alive. Lorger, that is being very specific, brother. Jagatai, call it a hunch. Dad is useless. If you were a pure breed, you would be capable of a simple meditation. That's not but your weakling father had to give into his cravings. That was a low blow, he knew it. But the anger he feels from the boy, it is causing something to happen. Yes, this had to be the right path. If he were to push a bit harder, perhaps then his power could be unlocked. Robot, wait, what? I did. Mordorion, so disgusting. Rogel, brother. Robot, what is it, Rogel? Rogel, do you not know the basics of human copulation? Perturabo, smacks. Robot, thank you, Perturabo. Perturabo, my pleasure. Rogel, always were more efficient at knocking down walls than putting them up. Jagatai, nods approvingly at Rogel. Perturabo, WHA Sanguinius, vampiric screeching. Perturabo, let's watch. Don't just like your entire race. A failure from start to end. Dad isn't just like you. A damned failure. Almost there. He could feel it, like a dam waiting to break. He just needed to push a bit more. Then maybe, perhaps the visions would be true, just like your father and your mother. A damned failure and a waste of my time. Take that back. The edge in Aegidius' voice sounded different. Emperor, OHNO. Robot, what? What is happening to him? Magnus, that voice, it indicates something different. Robot, different? Different how? Magnus, I can't really describe it. Why? Why should I? Yes, this must have been it. Just manifest a bit more, just a bit more. Then whatever is within this child, whatever his potential is, could finally be awakened. Do not insult Dad, and MOM. It gained almost an etheric voice. Emperor, this all seems so familiar. Oh, your weak point. Fantastic. Stop now. It almost had a demonic tang to it. The very air around the child appeared to electrify and tense. Lorger, I can almost feel it. Magnus, it's warp energy obviously, but it's being redirected from somewhere. Lorger, it feels like... Emperor, the Astronomicon. Stunned silence. This excited the teacher. He had never seen a child with this much power and potential. Manifesting something like this at this young. Yes, the visions were right. He was right. But what happened at the end? What would happen if you were to push just a bit farther? Or what? You will wail at me like some infant. Stop. The final push, just one more. He knew it. Show your true potential. Fiti Munkeg. Begone from my sight. The family are literally knocked backwards by the overtly familiar voice. Aegidius' entire body glowed with a blinding golden light. Even as a mere instant later, all of that energy was blown outwards, causing an ear-splitting quake as the very air in front of him exploded with energy. The Farseer did not even have time to react, as he was completely obliterated out of existence, his very soul being reduced to ashes even as the entire fortified wall collapsed like a stack of autumn leaves. Emperor, holy SHI A door was seen flying past the whole recorder, even as a glimmer of gold and blue power armor was seen as the golden light concentrated into an incredible force and shoot out directly toward the sky in a torrent of screaming voices. It flew until it hit Macridge's atmospheres, where it split like a stream of water upon hitting rocks. It continued to burn until, Lorder, are those angels? The flying white Neverborn appeared to look the exact opposite of their ancient portrayals, however. The wings and clothing appear to be there, but that is where the similarities truly ended. Their fingers were incredibly sharp claws, their mouths a maw of teeth, and their faces the very definition of the word horrific. Soon, however, the light changed, turning from burning white to oozing purple and black as a warp rift opened in its place, and soon, the angels were fighting demonic Neverborn, even as an entire legion of the abominations began to be spewed out. Magnus, what in the ever-loving food dash? Emperor. A warp leak caused by an energetic flow into OHNO. The loud wail of an alarm was heard, even as a pair of custodes and Captain Sicarius managed to grab onto and drag off Aegidius, his aura appearing to calm down as they threw him to the floor. Aegidius, came the harsh, vox-augmented voice of Cato Sicarius as he quite literally slapped Aegidius out of his trance with his armored hand. The child came to and appeared to realize what was happening. We need to get him to safety. Immediately, spoke a custodes. Robot stood up fast, knocking his throne down in the process. Robot, DOAS the damned custodes says. Lehman, you're yelling at a scree dash. Robot, I don't care right now. Agree, echoed Sicarius, even as the alarms intensified and the entire fortress began to shake and the very sun appeared to simply disappear, even as darkness overtook the feed for a second before the lights came on. Robot, how bad is that? Magnus, very. Robot, how bad is very? Emperor, horrible. Robot, internal screaming. Let's go, said another, even as he picked up Aegidius. My holy recorder, cried Aegidius, desperately reaching for the object. Adami, cursed Sicarius, before grabbing it and running out of the room. Outside of it could only be described as chaos. Rubble was everywhere as the entire fortress shook. Space Marines and Guardsmen were seen running to man their battle stations, even as the group of custodes and Sicarius kept running. Where to? Asked one of the custodes. Sicarius caught up, and the holocum showed their plight. The stairwell was blocked with rubble. Robot, how bad is that demonic presence that this level of damage is being done? Emperor, massive. Aegidius managed to open up a warp tier directly into the deepest planes of the warp. The shockwaves as well as demonic entities it can summon are almost innumerable. Robot, how does he have this much power? Emperor, technically Magnus has this much power, but I suspect it was more of a case of rerouting his psychic potential from somewhere. Robot, well, what? Emperor, I need to think more about this. Robot, what? Emperor, I need to research this more before I can fully answer. Robot, damn it all, Father Dash. Emperor, be patient. I will answer as soon as I can. Now stop acting like Sanguinius being denied more viewing time. Without thinking, the captain smashed a window to his side. The sides are slopped. We will slide down and get His Highness to the crypts. It's the nearest and safest place. The custodes carrying Aegidius simple nodded and ran up to the window, even as the roof shook heavily under the power of something. Jump now, ordered Sicarius, even as the roof came crashing down and the feed went black. Robot, Aegidius. The feed now switched back to the game of regicide between Aegidius and the dreadnought Santoda. They appear to be on the ending moves. Robot collapses back on his fallen throne. Aye, he survived, thank the throne. Lehman, you do know that was a flashback, right? That this already happened, and the earlier part was him after the attack. Robot, shut up, Lehman. Lehman, you're no AHM right. Robot, how would you feel if I did that to your child? Lehman, I don't bloody hell have kids, so I don't dash. Emperor, quiet boys. And I raised the banner of triumph. Squawked Aegidius as a flag rose from his lead figure, casting an aura of dread. I submit. The dreadnought rumbled even as he tipped over his main figure. Wait, you submit? Yes, young one. You cornered me and exhausted my force. You win, congratulations. I win. I win. Aegidius jumped up, his hands in the air and a full-on grin on his face as he began skipping around the room in joy. Emperor, okay, that is cute. Reminds me of when Horus won his own first game of regicide. Horus, wah. I did not sing a song and dance around after winning. And wait, I never won against Dash. Emperor, and oh, but you were so smug and happy. You practically were. You did it in your mind. Horus, Did you just sweep away the fact that you implanted a memory of me winning a game of regicide? Emperor, perhaps. Horus, I am not even surprised. Mortarion, how aren't you outraged by that? Or at least angry? Horus, when he raises you, you learn to accept him for all of his little nasty faults. Emperor looks away. Horus, including how sore of a loser he is at Dash. Emperor, there is an imperial decree in place that forbids you from speaking about that young man. Horus, point proven. I won. I won, he said in a sing-song voice even as the dreadnought rumbled with laughter. I won. Yes, you did, young one, but beware. I still managed to exhaust over half of your immediate 4 dash. Aegidius stopped and looked at the dreadnought. But I never win, he said with a pout. At least I won for once. What's the cost compared to that? Horus, much higher than you could think. Corvus, beyond your wildest imaginations, and then some. Rogel, he is naive. Perturabo, about to smack but stops. You're not wrong. I'll let that one side, since I agree. Rogel, that is a flawed sense of logic on why you would or would not wound me for speak dash. Perturabo, smacks. The dreadnought rumbled a non-impressed sound. Everything. Your men, your forces are everything. If you do not fight for and with them, then what for? A rumble racked the hall as dust came flying down from the ceiling. Robot, I still find it beyond odd that he's so calm during this attack. Horus, he must have grown up used to these attacks. They must be a frequent enough occurrence for him in order to accept them as just another part of his life. Robot, that is a fair point and makes it incredibly worse. How do you know that, brother? Horus gazes towards the Emperor, personal experience. You must keep in mind, Aegidius. These men will give their lives for you. You must not let them do so lightly. But, Owen, a tiny whine came from the small boy. You tried your best, true enough, but try harder. One can never be too good at the art of war, as horrible and terrifying as it is. I understand, Aegidius sighed, hands held behind his back, foot kicking back and scuffing at the floor. Good, glad we got that sorted out. Lehman, well, at least the lad can take the advice. Yeah, you always give such good advice, Brother Santoda. And it is my pleasure to give my counsel when requested, my EMP dash. Aegidius' eyes went wide, even as a finger flew to his lips. SHHHHH. I thought I said it, please not call me Thayet. He whined, even as a sad look overcame his face. Emperor. He almost called him his emperor. He almost called him his emperor. He almost called him his emperor. Perturabo. Now I see where Rogel gets it from. Of course, my liege, though of course we did agree on something. Yeah, what? You telling me exactly what you did to the farcer? Magnus. Nothing major, just true death to farcer. Totally normal. The color drained from his face, eyes widened, and looking away as he tried to not think about the incident. I a dash. The distant sound of armored footsteps quickly approached, and was heard even as Aegidius ran for the Holy Recorder. My liege, the Lord Commander requests your presence. Came the booming voice of Cato Sicarius. The battle is done, but we are still securing multiple unexploded demonic ordinances, and, oh, Lord Santoda, I did not know you were awake. Cato Sicarius' power-armored legs were now seen in the shot, even as the dreadnought responded. My master awakened me. Emperor. Now it's just dancing in front of me mockingly. My theory is becoming more and more accurate with every edition. Magnus. Are we just going to ignore the text-to-speech reef dash? Robot, what damned theory? Magnus. That is a yes then. Emperor. Just a theory for now. A theory that is looking more and more like reality. Robot. I fucking swear. Yes, of course, come along, little brother. A hand was seen stretching down to Aegidius' height. Do I have to? Yes, it is still dangerous, especially down here now. One of the incursions occurred directly above Dash. As if on cue, a massive explosion shook the hallway. Not even a blink later, the dreadnought flew forward, the wires and cabling holding it in its alcove, snapping as it ran and bent over Aegidius. While Bro Dash, a massive chunk of falling masonry suddenly struck the dreadnought on its armored back before splitting into multiple smaller pieces, which flew harmlessly to Aegidius' sides. Emperor stands hold the fuck up. How many ever-loving fuck? Magnus what? Emperor realizes he is standing and clears his throat before sitting back down like nothing happened. How did the DREA know UGHD know? Must have just been intuition. Conrad, even I know you're hiding something now. Is everyone all right? Came Cato Sicarius' demanding shout as what sounded like multiple Marines sounded off-screen. Aegidius now slowly turned and looked up at the dreadnought. Thank you, Brother Santoda. Only doing my duty, my liege. The dreadnought rumbled even as it turned back toward the alcove. Although I trust the Tech Marines will be none too happy. Nor your father. What? Why wouldn't Dad be happy? He asked, even as the holocum was picked up and Aegidius slowly walked around Santoda. And there, on the ground where they were playing Lied the Regicide board, it was completely fine, except for being as thin as a stomped ration bar. Robot takes a few deep breaths, increasing in volume and power. Aegidius claps his hands together, resting them against his lips as if in prayer, and stares at the screen. I'm grounding you from the past. Aegidius let out a pained groan. That was an heirloom, he shuddered, a tiny voice coming out with I am sad. Wait, I feel like I was just grounded right now. Conrad, oh dear me. Messing with the timelines again. Robot, what the hell, brother? Conrad, what? Robot, feels like he is slowly losing his marbles. The feed cut even as the blue power armored hand of Cato Sicarius was seen reaching up beyond the lens, most likely to pat the boy's shoulders and give him some much-needed comfort. Ugh, I feel like we all need a rest after that. And I need to check up on my legion. Quickly spoke Guilliman, even as he got up and quickly walked out the door. Yeah, that sounds fair. I should also probably gather the Mournival and Dash, started Horus. Then his eyes went wide in realization. Wait a second, we're above Ullanor. There aren't any Ultramarines here. He just gave us the slip in order to avoid talking about his future, wife. Spoke Mordorion. Lion shrugged. Are Eldar even capable of understanding human norms? He asked, lounging back in his throne. I just see them as mongrels. Vulcan spoke up, uncharacteristic and genuine anger showing up on his face. Robot wasn't there, so he could speak his mind. Speaking of mongrels, spoke up Lorder. I actually do have some Legion business to attend to. About a certain pilgrimage I was very lucky not to take. Lorder stood and began walking toward the door. You can watch the next vid without me. This might take some time. Do not be too long, Lorder. We will deal with all of the lesser needs at a later date. Lorder merely gave a wave as he walked out, vengeance and redemption on his mind. Magnus stood up, looking to the Emperor. Father, I believe it would be best for me to leave for a while. Is there anything you wish for me to pass on? A few things. I'll send them to you in a bit. And then Magnus left the viewing room, ready to pass on the Emperor's word and check on his legion and family. I spoke up Lehman, also rising from his throne. I'm gonna head out and make sure the nerd doesn't fuck up anything. So be it, Lehman. Keep an eye on him, but return as soon as you can. Will do, father, spoke the Wolf King even as he strode out of the room. Ear dash, he was heard calling in the hallway even as he walked out of hearing distance. Angron sat back in his throne, not bothering to get up. Almost feels like no one can say anything cause the blabbermouth of the family take up all the extra time between scenes to say, OW fuck my head hurts. Are you alright, Angron? Spoke up the Emperor. I'm fucking fine, I need to fight something, the nails bite. For a moment, the barest fraction of a second, a regretful look suddenly overcame the Emperor before he straightened his face into his normal passive look. So be it. Go and train with your sons on the Conqueror. Return when you have sated your needs. Angron lifted himself from the massive throne, not caring to even nod towards any one of his brothers or his father as he walked out of the door. His voice was heard faintly calling after Lorder. At this, the Emperor looked to the rest of the Primarchs who stayed behind. So who wants to watch another? Chapter 5, Reality. The family mulled around the idea of watching another vid. With some of the Primarchs gone, should they watch another? It was, after all, a personal foray into some of the most intimate parts of their brother's offspring. From a tactical point of view, I say we should watch another. Finally spoke up Corvus, breaking the silence. Finally, someone who agrees with me. Jested the Emperor. IT feels like you were mulling those ideas over for weeks. Corvus blinked, looking at his father. But we have only been sitting here for a couple of minutes, as if anyone could go do anything else with this family. Ground out Conrad. Ah jest, ah vek one, but ah jest. The Emperor waved, ignoring Conrad's comment. Can we just watch the vid? Spoke the Lord of the Death Guard. This is getting annoying, and I have better things to do, like beheading a certain traitor. Patience. Everyone will have the chance to get rid of any unwanted figures. Jagatai spoke up, speaking sense to his brothers. Horus cleared his throat. I agree with Mordorion, and I do believe watching more is in our best interest. If we had everyone here for everything, we wouldn't have finished half of the series we already watched. Speaking of everyone, happily spoke Vulcan. Where are the twins? They appear to have disappeared. My orders, Vulcan. Not to worry. They are merely setting things into place. The Primarchs looked toward their father and blinked once, with some of the best custodes keeping watch so that their plans don't devolve into a convoluted mess. Elsewhere, the twins laughed maniacally as they were teleported up onto the Alpha with the rest of their forces, ready to do their father's bidding. They continued scheming until they felt a little tap on their shoulders and turned around to see a custodes. The custodes flicked his flamer on, some flames spitting out, ready to be used as he let out a giggle. Then a full-blown cascade of laughter. All three brothers in their new crusade of righteous flames as they marched out like a finely tuned orchestra, ready for war. It was then that the twins knew. Back with the Emperor and family. "Shall we get on with it then?" asked Sanguinius, a note of impatience in his voice. He hated how sometimes it took forever for people to just shut up and play the vid. Maybe he should get himself checked out? He's been showing more aggression when it comes to vids. Fine. Muggos, play it. Our usual Muggos did as ordered, a prayer and a hope that the machine spirit would continue to be a good machine spirit. 204 M42, Fortress of Hera. On screen, it came alive as usual, and soon it began play. The whole recorder sprang to life suddenly, showing the red, blotchy face of Aegidius in a dark area by himself. The boy obviously was crying and hiding away, surprised when the recorder came back. He tried to turn it off, and it ended up showing more of his surroundings instead. Apparently, he was under some large table, with what looks to be massive thrones around it, and from what was visible, a grand door. With how quiet the room was, he was most likely alone. Rogel, that is the new war room table. I'm hoping the boy does not break this one as well. Mortar Ion, I am supremely happy that Robot isn't here to complain about that. Corvus, honestly, it's nice to not have the more vocal of brothers here. Maybe we can actually focus on the vid now. Conrad, don't count on it. Aegidius could hear the sounds of the many ultramarines outside of the war room, most likely either trying to find him or preparing for his father coming back. He didn't really feel like coming out. He just wanted to keep sitting under the new war room table, away from everyone. Looking down at the reactivated whole recorder, he tried to fix the damn thing, but after that time he dropped it. It just seems to have a mind of its own now. Little annoying thing, he murmured underneath his breath as he kept fiddling with a few loose wires. He could get another one, but then he would need to hear another lecture about how important it was that he took better care of his stuff. He knew, but it wasn't his fault that he kept dropping it. Suddenly, he heard the door open and the telltale sound of heavy power-armored steps on the marmor floor echoing across the great war room. Aegidius quickly scooped up the recorder, going impossibly still as he tried to be as quiet as possible. His ears picked up sharply, gently rotating to get a better grasp on the sound. He saw as his father's ornate armored sabbatons from the armor of fate come into position right in front of him. He was about to reveal himself, but then, damned orcs! The swear was as chilling as a Fenrisian hell winter. The Night Haunter had entered the war room. I stopped the Wyak just before it threatened the northern asteroid fields. Ferris, how close were they to Macridge? Sanguinius, damned greenskins will never die, will they? Ferris, seeing as how they were made during the war in heaven and have been a menace to the galaxy for a few million years. I don't think so. Emperor, we are quite close actually. All of the major orc empires are dead for now. But not to worry, I've been working on more methods to make sure the greenskins stay dead. Jagatai, one can only hope that one day we will be rid of their menace forever. Horus, if that happens, then I will never relive the day I threw an orc war boss out of a window from the 85th floor. But it's for the best. He saw as his father turned to face his brother. Good work, one less threat to worry about. He wanted to jump out. When was the last time he heard his father's voice? The last time he saw him? He rotated his ears towards them, capturing as much sound as possible. A fantastic job, intoned his Uncle Lehman as he strode into the war room. He looked to be carrying something. We have another bloody issue. He thunked something on a massive table, causing some of the space marines around the Primarchs to begin to swear and murmur amongst themselves. Necrons, spoke up Robot. Emperor, well, that is just great. Rogel, I did not know you were capable of sarcasm, father. Perturabo, I did not know you were capable of detecting it. Your wife told me to send you that one. She said she would be coming by soon, by the way. Needs to recover and meditate, whatever the fucking hell that means in Eldar terms. Mortar Ion mutters something under his breath. So, now we have a metallic, unkillable race pressing on towards the annihilation of life in the galaxy and could just spring up from any planet that might be housing them. Robot's voice sounded as if it had suffered countless years of wear and tear. Jagatai, our brother sounds world-weary. I can only imagine how tired and downtrodden he must look like. Corvus, fighting non-stop for who knows how long. Look at the state of his armor. Vulcan, indeed, it saddens me to see our brother and his battle plate in this state. Worn down into almost nothing. I see hasty battlefield repair work. Emperor, I have a really bad feeling about all of this. Any planet in the west northern border, that is. A dynasty sprung up, though I don't know which. Robot let out a sigh. Get the Necron Overlord's head to call. He will know what to do. See if he can extract any worthwhile data from it while he is at it. Emperor, good TOC, he is still up and running. Lem, Omnicia, are you really going to allow call free reign in the new future? Emperor, LEHM, Actually asking questions. Good on you. But free reign? Oh no, though I wouldn't be too worried. I have met him before after all. Ferris. Okay. When? Emperor. Well, technically. I haven't met him just yet. That is, not until Ezekiel Sedain and him become one. Won't be long now. I have been avoiding Ezekiel's notifications for months now. He is getting desperate. And this time, there will be no elixir to lengthen his life. Lem. Omnicia. Did you just speak of tech heresy? What? This one cannot compute this. Distressed binary. Emperor. Wave's arm this particular fate must happen. It will be far more effective if CAWL keeps the life of Ezekiel and others in himself. I will require his assistance later. For now, everything is proceeding as I have foreseen. The Emperor emitted a soft cackle as he looked up at the ceiling for just a second, causing all of the Primarchs to become very unnerved as they were reminded just how powerful their father really was. Deep in the warp, Cinch at this moment was bleeding full rage at this situation. Physically peeling skin from anger at all of his plans and unplans were upended and shredded into the cosmic toilet that is the unreality. He spent countless lifetimes putting all of his plans together, manipulating others to manipulate another person to manipulate the one he wanted to manipulate, but couldn't offer anything he might want. Lifetimes of all of his plans with their foundations, spanning millions of years, was destroyed by one simple act of vids getting into the hands of the anathema. It had been imperative that he stopped it from happening, from the anathema getting the key to possibly winning in the grand game. He had been so close to destroying the first vids, but then something happened. Something happened, and he was stopped by a power that was so like the anathema, and so like himself, but more orderly. The final nail in the cosmic coffin of the grand manipulator, the vids, was here, and there wasn't anything he could do. New vids keep leaking in from the hole of reality and unreality, and no one can get close enough to it. After those demons were completely unraveled into nothingness, where even he had a hard time remembering if they ever existed, that hole that's leaking these accursed vids is a continuous pain. A festering, continuous pain that will never go away. And with all the power he has at his command, there is nothing he can do to fix this problem. Cinch will curse the anathema of another place, another time, and the Cinch of another time and reality for their quick and decisive play against their grand game. He cannot let the others know about how royally fucked they were. He will eternally ponder how and why, and where someone got the power to cross reality and do this. He's just thankful the damned hole isn't growing or doing anything else. That is the one certainty in Cinch's mind. They are so fucking boned. Back with the Emperor and family. A space marine stepped closer to the table and appeared to pick up the aforementioned head before carrying it out. Anything else? Robot breathed again, sounding as if he wished to be literally anywhere else but here. Yes, spoke up Conrad. I know you don't want to hear this, and I don't either. Agri-worlds. Aegidius perked up. What did Agri-worlds have to do with what they just said? A groan now came from the Lord Commander's mouth. Of course. Lost or under siege. Vulcan. Wait, what? Sanguinius. Even the Agri-worlds are being attacked. Corvus. This is beyond just attrition. The orcs must be lacking other more alluring targets. Horus. What about the traitors? The Chaos Space Marines. The Black Legion. Any one of those. Emperor. Demonic forces we already saw, but no Space Marine support. Imperium Secundus must, as of yet, be hidden from the traitors. Neither. Luckily, I intercepted a force of Dark Eldar, attempting to set up a raid onto Formula 7. Bastard are getting cocky. Spat out Lehman. Yes. Ever since Evrain summoned the followers of Iniad to battle for Kamarag, they have been getting desperate. They need slaves as much as we need food and drink. Vulcan and Jagatai nod at this. Jagatai. At least Robo's wife is doing some good. The damned Dark Eldar do need to be exterminated. Vulcan, no doubt. Emperor, good luck with Kamarag. Vect will not give up his throne easily. Vulcan, father, when will we launch our attack on Kamarag? Emperor, not anytime soon, nor in the foreseeable future. But if the plans that I am currently putting into place will work, those abominations will shrivel up and die from psychic starvation. Far too quick of a death than they deserve, but a necessary compromise. Jagatai, well, as long as they die. Lehman spoke a Fenrisian curse at this, and acted as if he spat towards the floor. Good riddance with them. Can't wait till they all shrivel up and die. Yet another sigh from his brother. If that is all from you two, he waited a bit. Then Tetrarch Felix. Uncle Felix? Here now. What was he doing so far away from Vespater? Corvus. Ah, the Tetrarch is still alive. That is good news. Conrad, oi. My liege. Another set of armored sabatons came into view, showing MK. Ex-Gravis armor. Vespater has been fortified thrice over. Though the dominion under my rule has shrunk, I am afraid to report. Sanguinius. More murmurs at this. Though, I'm not the bearer of only bad news. The remaining Tyranids have been completely driven out or exterminated by the help of a passing Byorkwyak. Emperor. Well, the Tyranids and ORKS fighting each other is good news dash. Best news we had since Terra exploded and father died. Mutat Konrat. Emperor. I'm sorry, but what in the actual fucking magical warpish fucking gold in this entire shitty universe did he just say? Conrad. I said that you died. Emperor. I heard you, you little bat-winged shit. Entire family was taken aback at this. Emperor. Pause that vid. Pause it. Asterisk the hollow projector paused by itself. The Muggos not even having to touch the pause rune. Its hollow tray opening and causing it to resemble a surprisingly familiar face asterisk. Lem. Well, you're rude. Emperor. I give zero fucks at the moment, Muggos. If you excuse me. I just got told I fucking died. Horus. You get used to it. Emperor. Don't you act like a little contrarian right now, young man. Do any of you have any idea how screwed the future is if I died? Conrad. Extremely. Emperor. Exactly. So how in the fuck are they still alive? Jagatai. With your death, wouldn't the Astronomicon go out? Warp travel, communications. Emperor. That's the point. I mean, oh fuck. That isn't good. Horus, what isn't? Emperor. My theory. Mortar ion. Oh, for the love of. How about you stop being cryptic and just say it? Emperor. Aegidius is a living projection of the Astronomicon. Jagatai. This makes sense. A lot, actually. Emperor. I mean, the kid can move and function normally. But his growth, both physical and mental, is completely stunted. It could very easily be a side effect of the Astronomicon being projected by him. It was my secondary plan, after all, the plan to keep the Astronomicon embedded in myself. Fulgrim. That could also explain why the Eldar claimed for him to shine brightly. Vulcan. And how in the second vid, little Aegidius said how people could get lost without him. Horus. Did you drop that idea because a moving space beacon meant to navigate people is a bad idea? Impeter. No. I dropped it because I didn't have time to implement it. The Astronomicon itself is so massive that it could stay focused on one location, even if I was half the galaxy away from Terra. Lion. Seeming how unreasonable Robot is with raising his child, he will be supremely angry at you if he finds out what the future you did to Aegidius. Ferris. But one question remains, brothers. What happened and why is Aegidius the living Astronomicon? If what father said is true, then how did this come to pass? Lion. I am unsure. Father. Emperor. Seeing AS, I am fucking dead. It is very, very possible that future me. Latched. Horus. Yes? Go on, we're waiting. Emperor. I require more evidence before I go down that route. Sanguinius. Well, how about we watch and find out? Horus. Oh yeah, sure. Right as father was about to say something that most likely was going to change our entire outlook on these vids. Emperor. Fuck OFF Sonny. You will find out when you will. Horus. Where's this attitude coming from? I haven't felt like this since I was 8. Bastards are useful for something after all. Chuckled Uncle Lehman. Appears so, my lord. Spoke up Felix again, apparently not feeling in the mood for jesting. Though now I fear that when, or even if they destroy this tendril, they will turn and fall upon us. In which case, I would evocate for an evacuation of Dash. No, his father's tone stopped Felix mid-sentence. I'm afraid that we cannot afford it. You stand, where he let it trail, knowing what he meant. Fulgrim. The borders are that weak? Rogel. Robot refers to manpower. Perturabo. I don't have the energy to hit you right now. Lion. A weak defense is non-optimal, but workable. However, if one can't reinforce or relieve it eventually. The lion dramatically gestured something crumbling with his hands. Or what? Aegidius couldn't ask that. Would everyone get mad at him again for sneaking in? But well, he was here first. They came in on him. Or what if? What if his dad was angry about what happened to Macridge while he was gone? What if everyone was? He shuddered, curling into a ball as he continued to listen. Anything else? No? Good. Now, we need to raise a few more guard regiments. A sigh came from the rest of the Primarchs, even as a Lord General clad in the colors of the Astra Militarum stepped up. Promise them one full meal per day, no exceptions. Vulcan. I am sorry. Ferris. And there it is. Corvus. Weak supply lines and a waning number of agri-worlds. Production must be in an all-time low if rationing is that strict. Conrad. Knowing our brother. The only reason why they haven't all fallen to pieces is because of efficiency and the rationing being in effect for everyone, not just common citizenry. Sanguinius. Brother, that is quite an accurate evaluation. Conrad. Shrugged shoulders. I used the same stratagem on Nostromo when the poor couldn't even get 2 meals per week and the rich were literally throwing it up in order to be able to digest more. The Lord General gave a salute and marched off. 1 meal a day? I get 3. Why do they get 1? Aegidius accidentally blurted out, before letting out a squeak as he slapped his hands over his mouth. Lion, not the brightest child. Vulcan, well, I can't really call him dim, but he did bring up a good point. Everyone went quiet for a second, then the booming chuckle of his Uncle Lehman came through as he turned and began to walk away. Dismissed, sighed Robot, somehow sounding even more defeated and disappointed than before. The war room was emptied. Aegidius could see how some hesitated at the door before leaving. His earlier fears from before were coming back up as he realized his dad was going to be so mad with him. Get out from under the table, Aegidius, his father commanded. He sighed, crawling out from under the table and getting back up. He tried to hide the whole recorder behind him, hoping his dad would just lecture him about one thing and not 2 things he did wrong. Okay, it was 3 things he did wrong, but to be fair, they were the ones to come into the war room after him, so they were the ones who snuck in. Kinda. Corvus, that's not how that works. Dad, he asked tenderly, poking to find out more of his father's mood. Aegidius, spoke up Robot again, appearing to come closer, only to grab the whole recorder from him and gently place it on the table. Robot kneeled down to not tower over his son and revealed a very tired-looking Lord Commander in heavily battle-scarred battleplate. His once fully blonde hair now looked paler, gray mixed in occasionally. His face spoke volumes as to how much war he had seen lately, but it had a kind smile nonetheless. You broke again? He asked gently. Emperor, holy shit, Robot is barely recognizable. Rogel, that is untrue. No one else in the galaxy is as large, tall, and has such a sharp jawline as our brother. His armor and shape confirm this is our brother. Perhaps you should have your eyes checked, father? Emperor, first off, fuck off, Rogel. Rogel, I cannot copulate off of myself, father. Emperor, second of. After we are finished with this session, go and read a book of synonyms, especially an urban dictionary, or I will bombard the phalanx with them until it is disabled. Rogel, there are no books with enough power to disable the phalanx. Fulgrim, anyway. But yes, I am used to seeing Robot like this. Ferris, almost feels like he should have a scar over his eye and a robotic arm, like those movies father showed us. Emperor, classics. Ferris, I'm still unsure why you did not allow us to watch past Rogue One and the 6th episode dash. Emperor, there are only 6. The others never truly existed. Sanguinius, some say there are only 3. Emperor, getting back on track. Aegidius deflated. Might as well get it over with. I didn't mean to. I try to be careful. I really did. I know you said I had to be careful with all of my stuff, and I am, but it just happens. He thought back to his own room, how empty it felt at times. He just couldn't help but break his toys, his schoolwork, his clothes, everything. It just feels as if something else is taking its frustration out. I accept the explanation. Just keep trying your best. Sanguinius. Robot is being surprisingly curt with his son by comparison to how he is here. A door shut closed somewhere in the distance. Now, secondhand business. It's armor. Remember that. Be careful. Robot warned even as he gently extended his hands, much to Aegidius' apparent delight. Dad, he squealed as he launched himself into his father's arms. The two embraced. Aegidius was overjoyed to have his father back. He missed him terribly, so much. Sanguinius, never mind. I miss you, Dad. I miss you so much. He spoke, his voice murmured by him, pressing his face as hard as he could into his father's neck. Just having him home and safe meant so much to him. Emperor, yes. Power of the father. Mordorian, what do you know of that? Emperor, that was a low blow. Horus, to be fair, there were good moments. Emperor, thank you, son dash. Horus, in between the mountains of crap. Lion, slowly rising laughter. Jagatai, good one. I'm stealing it. Good to see you too, little one. Robot spoke, his voice tight with emotion. He hugged his son tightly, but carefully. His face showed how deeply he felt, showed how relieved he was to have his son there, happy to see him. Happy to welcome him home and not just be there to drop more burdens on his shoulders. His face was pure, open relief, and love for the tiny boy. Conrad, love and affection. Yuff. Corvus, well, this is heartwarming. Back door opens. Robot, I have returned. What did I miss? Dash sees his future self. Emperor, hello, Robot, perfect timing. Robot, what the hell happened to me? Fulcrim, endlessva. Fellows, constant endlessva. Jagatai, the not fun kind of war? Vulcan, father died. Robot, father what? Conrad, father died and made Terra explode. Robot, how did Terra explode? Rogel, father believes that Aegidius is the Astro Dash. Massive hand of Amps slammed over his mouth. Perturabo. Aegidius is the Astronomicon, and father doesn't like it. Emperor, you betray me again, Purdy my boy. It's like me as Alcibiades all over again. Robot, how is my son the Astronomicon father? Emperor, I am still formulating my answer. Robot holds head in hands as he collapsed onto his throne with a massive groan. At least it can't get worse. It was apparent now at just how small Aegidius was compared to his father. Despite having his head buried in his father's neck, the only thing keeping him up there was Robot holding him. Aegidius' legs barely reached Guilliman's armored abdomen. Robot, well, at least I come back to some heart-warming eye candy. His father then held him out for a few seconds before allowing his son to snuggle back up with him, growing like a mushroom. He spoke much to Aegidius' delight, even as his father's tone took on a more serious edge. We don't have much time, I am afraid. And since you can't run away from me when I ask you, what were you doing hiding underneath the table again? Robot, why was he under the table? Fulgrim, details. A tiny gulp was heard from him. He hoped his dad wouldn't ask, but, oh well, I wanted to be alone. Cause I felt bad. Please don't ask, please don't ask, please don't ask, please don't ask. Why? Because of what I did. He tried to not elaborate, but had a feeling his dad was going to ask. What did you do? Yup, might as well get it over with. The demon attack. Yes, I heard. Sighed Robot. The Eldar was at fault from what I was able to gather of the security holocom footage. Aegidius lightly perked up at this, but immediately became more sullen when he saw his father's serious look. But that is no excuse. You need to stay focused, Aegidius. You are the beacon. We do not yet know how or even why it works. Horus, confirmed. Robot, I just hope it's not something that will hurt him. Emperor, was going to say something, but stopped and decided to just wait for more information first. I know, murmured out Aegidius, now attempting to bury his face into his father's massive chest plate, just so he didn't have to look him in the eye. People didn't get hurt, did they? His father didn't answer him. Dad, again, no response. Dad, he attempted again, feeling nervous at his father's silence. Dad, did I? You know, finally spoke up his father. Not directly, but the portal spawned demons, Aegidius, an entire demonic legion. Dad, did I hurt Dash? Yes, spoke up his father. Yes, you hurt people. Lion, good job on bringing down the Hammer Brother. You made the correct choice for once. Robot, even so, you shouldn't get angry at a child. But he did do something that hurt and most likely killed people. Fulgrim, while I do very much agree with you, brother, I'm also afraid that future you is in no position to be able to afford much coddling. Robot, I agree. I just hope that they can fix the situation and work on not letting it happen again. The boy, he thought hard about how much a legion would be. Then he thought back to the time he accidentally summoned up a big demon and how it took a few of his uncles to kill it. If that was how strong one could be, then a legion would. He didn't want to think about it. He wanted to be alone, and no one touching or talking or anything. Frost and ice started to grow on his body, covering him up as his thoughts went wild at just how badly he messed up. If he messes up with himself, it's just him. But if he messes up and other people get hurt or worse, maybe he should just lock himself away, just sleep and not think. Maybe he should. Aegidius, his father's angry call snapped him out of it instantly. Calm down. Not everything can be solved by locking oneself into his own mind. The frost began to melt. But, Dash, he stuttered out, tears coming to his eyes. I know it's hard, son, gently chided Robot, but you must face your fears. If you don't, you will never ever grow up. I want to grow up, he weakly admitted, feeling as if he was on the cusp of something, but it went away as soon as his father snapped him out of it. I am so did that. I mess up so much, I got people hurt. I just feel like I keep making things worse for people. I don't think I'm going to make a good emperor, like you said I would. Emperor. The path to becoming emperor is fraught with obstacles and countless difficulties. The sacrifices are many, I am afraid, young one. Robot sighed, knowing this was going to be a difficult conversation. He really didn't have the time to sit his son down and fully explain everything on why it was best for him to be the emperor or how bad the galaxy had gotten worse in only 100 years after the Indomitus Crusade. Be that as it may, son, there isn't much we can do. We just need to keep moving forward, and that means you need to as well. I didn't mean for all of that to happen. I didn't mean to summon them. I just got angry. Aegidius brought up, frustrated that his father would just push aside the subject. Anger pushes psychic potential. It is normal. His father sighed. I'll get you another tutor, a librarian preferably, and maybe your mother can teach you some when she returns. Aegidius looked at his father, his eyes wide with raw emotion. Mom's coming back. When? Today? Or is she here now? He wanted to see his mom. She'd been gone for so long, and so had his dad, and he just needed them. Robot's face was graced with a sad smile. Obviously, he brought up the topic to derail his son's train of thoughts. Dad? Where's Mom? Is she all right? I haven't heard from her in months. Aegidius looked up at his dad, questioning in those big eyes of his. She is fine, little one. Guaranteed his father, though his eyes betrayed his worry. He watched his father. He could see it. What happened? He asked, curious on why his father wasn't telling him. Mom wasn't hurt, was she? She can't be dead. He said he'd see her soon. So what happened? Nothing you need to concern yourself with, little one. As soon as she gets back, she herself can explain it to you. The massive door to the war room opened, revealing an unhelmed Cato Sicarius. My pre-march. He spoke. Sorry to interrupt, but the fleet is ready. Robot, I am heading out already? Emperor, with what we have seen and heard, and no wonder you haven't left earlier. Robot gave a nod and began walking out, still holding Aegidius. You're going away again? Butted in Aegidius. So soon? We didn't even have time to play together. Robot, I'm sorry, little one. I have to go, little one. Duty calls, and I am the one who must always answer. But you just came back. We only got to talk for a few minutes. Can't you stay? It's my birthday. Robot, it's that bad? Sanguinius, from what we saw so far. It's even worse, actually. I can't, Aegidius. I have to go. There is so much wrong with the galaxy, with home. I have to go. They both walked out of the door with father and son going back and forth with each other. Cato Sicarius apparently noticing the whole recorder, coming closer and turning it off. So that was informative. Began Ferris. Robot sat back in his throne, hands rubbing at his face. Future me didn't even tell him a happy birthday. Lion scoffed. That is what you're lingering on? It's just another year. What of it? Corvus spoke up. You're acting as if emotional attachment is a bad thing, brother. A normal mindset and environment is a very important thing for a child still growing up. Of course, but let's disregard that for the moment. I'm dead. Get over it. Butted in Horus, having enough of his father's disbelief. You're acting as if this is the first time you're hearing about your own death. I am acting completely reasonably. The door opened, revealing a much happier Onron and Lorder. The former of the two hanging one of his massive arms on Lorder's shoulders. We have returned, announced Lorder, taking his throne along with Onron. That's great. Did you deal with what you had to? A rumbling chuckle came from the Red Angel. It was enjoyable. Good. I hope they are still alive. Lorder turned to his father, a burning fury evident in his eyes. They are alive, but not in one piece. Fuckers won't be running away anytime soon. Spat out Onron, nor doing any of their witch fuckery. Got no tongues to speak the words with. A moment earlier, with Lorder and Onron. You know, brother, I never thought I would actually feel happiness and contentment from tearing a person limb from limb. Lorder idly spoke. Onron grumbled lightly in pleasure, continuing to wash the blood off of his armor, even as he looked at the pairs of severed legs, remains of shattered teeth and armor, which lay all about the deck. Lorder paused, his mood darkening. Though, I do have to say, tearing them apart felt good for the moment. Full pleasure at getting rid of the man who raised me and the man who was going to ruin our family. I feel empty on the inside now. They're legless and armless, yes, but I feel empty. Revenge is thirsty work. Spoke Onron. It fills the soul and pleases you, but it also strips you to the core. He winced as the nails bit. Thank you, though, for being here with me. I can always seem to count on you, can't I? Onron looked up at his brother, genuine happiness in his eyes. Always. He grinned, showing his sharp teeth. To anyone seeing it, it would shake and creep them out to their core. But Lorder smiled back. This was his brother at his best, and he would not have it any other way. Back with the Emperor and family. All right, now where's Limb Dash? The doors smashed open, cutting the Emperor off. We're back, loudly announced the Wolf King, Magnus trailing somewhat closely behind him. All right, call me interested. What did you two do? Spoke up Horus. Oh, nothing much. We just reconciled is all. This bastard tried to have a drinking contest with me. Oi, I thought we agreed not to bring that up. We agreed to no such thing, said Magnus, a big dumb grin appearing on his face. Jagatai raised his eyebrows. Now I'm interested as well. What happened? Nothing. I beat him, only because you cheated, nerd. Using my mastery of biomancy to enhance the processing speed of my liver is perfectly within any rules you are capable of coming up with. Oi, the rules stated that you don't use any of your Malficarum Tawin. And I didn't. I just used my natural powers that our father gave us. And besides, we agreed to no table breaking. That one was an antique brother. Oh, now you're going on about that again. I said I was sorry. I thought you were going to pass on my orders for me. Magnus? The Emperor reminded them, but still amused that these two were finally getting along. Oh, I did, father. No worries there. It's being taken care of. As soon as Armin nurses his hangover. Magnus continued muttering on about how someone was able to even give a space marine one. Horus then spoke up. Oh yes, to bring you up to speed. Robot's son is the living Astronomicon, and father along with Terra are dead. Lorder spat out the tea he was drinking. The fuck? Aeg? Okay. Magnum Magic shrugged, knowing that it had to be something big to make the future that horrible. Magnus looked around and counted the brothers and realized something. Used to the complete plot wits at this point, father, where are the twins? Know where you have to concern your busy little mind with. They are fucking shit up in a good way. And well, as long as you pass the orders on, so it's all good. Can't just keep sitting here and not passing on some orders, you know. Chapter 6, Extras 1, in which Lehman is the father of a little hellhound. Author notes, here we have the first extra. Extras are vids and moments that happen in the future alongside the actual vids from the main chapters. Just what's going on in the side. Then there are meanwhiles, which take place in the new present and don't feature vids. Lastly, there are wife tales, and you'll see them eventually. After everything they saw so far with Aegidius, and how horribly everything went, the family decided to pause their viewing of Aegidius's life and to check out the rest of the vids not about him. I think a break is in order. We could watch the other vids since there's so much of them Robot tried to supply, not wanting to think about how terrible Aegidius's life was getting and wondering if it was going to get better. It would be good to see about the others. Lehman agreed, diving for the chest and piles, searching for something to watch. Why do you get to choose? Magnus squawked from the side. Because I jumped first. Wolfpack rule and so on. Lehman shrugged, picking out a vid from the large, unwatched pile. Wolfpack rules don't apply here in the Bucephalus. Magnus countered, but with a wave of his hand, the Emperor got them both to stop. I don't see anything wrong with it. Lehman got there first, so he chooses. Magnus sat back, grumbling to himself, while Robot was deep in thought. Many of the others didn't see many flaws with this logic and just went along with it. It's a break, so it doesn't really matter in the long run. Found one. Lehman barked, holding up a vid. It says it's about Fenris, so we have to watch it. Are you kidding me? Suffering you in person is bad enough, but then going to watch Fenris dash. Oh, what's wrong with Fenris? Other than it being a cold, arid, barren wasteland full of monsters? Why that? All right, I'll give you that. Can you two please stop? Both of the Primarchs grumbled as they merely laid back in their separate thrones. Muggos, go ahead and let's get this over with. I do see the judge groaned for a laugh, so it should have some comedic factors. A prayer, and soon the vid started up. 203.M42, Fenris, the Fawn. The vid opened up to security footage from the Fawn, but what was off about the scene was how the hallway it opened up to was nearly destroyed. Lehman, what te fok? Magnus, what? Isn't that how it normally looks? Lehman, nay it doesn't. What te fuck decided to rampage through te Fong. Suddenly, a voice was heard coming from a Vox loudspeaker. Team Fong. Team Fong. Hygiene evasion confirmed via Wolf King. Deploy. Lehman. Hygiene evasion? When the wolf in hell, is that supposed to mean? Lion. Perhaps you forgot to take your annual bath, brother. Lehman. I'll keep myself clean, you clean-licking cat. Lion. I do not need to do that. I have servants for it. Lehman. Now that I a good prefer dash. Sanguinius. I'm trying to watch. The walls were covered in tiny footprints of mud and snow. Claw marks from what was most likely was a tiny wolf creature, and many broken nets littered the hall. Surprisingly, there were many overturned displays in the halls, making it look like a mini war zone. Magnus, are you sure it doesn't always look like this? Lehman, bloody hell yes. Are you sure that pile of worthless papers that you call a library doesn't look like that? Magnus, Ufukin Duplavoy. Emperor, boys. Team Canis, do you have a visual on her? Negative Canis. Team Lupus has no visuals on her as well. Lehman, who is her? Mortarion. Probably one hell of a woman. Or one of your newest flings. Lehman, I lost most of my pursuits lately. Just doesn't feel the same when every woman is almost literally throwing herself at you, you know? Besides, I doubt that one of my flings could do that much damage. Team Fong here, we just spotted here outside of our pack home. She went up one of the walls and is now AGH. Not the eye's little sister. Not the eye. My neck isn't much better. Lehman, I sure bloody hope, by all of the snows on Fenris, that he didn't just call her sister. Rogel, he did. We all heard it, brother. Lehman, please no. I would be the most horrible dash. Hold your position, Team Fong. Lupus is close by and is dispatching reinforcements. Hurry up. I got my helmet on, but she is running around like a furless SH wolf after OH by Fenris. She just climbed into the ventilation system. Lehman, horrible fucking parent out of all of us. Jagatai, don't think so. I can see at least 4 here that would be worse than you. Emperor, son, what did I say about verbal murder? Jagatai, I obeyed your word, father. Brutal verbal murder would equate to me calling Lehman the most incompetent parent of all dash. Emperor, point proven. The vid shifted again, showing an untouched room displays. It was full of large stuffed thunderwolves, displays of ancient weapons and shields upon the walls, trophies of battles long past. And then, the ventilation shaft opened violently. The grate kicked open and soon, a tiny ball of hair, mud, dirty snow, and what looked like blood dropped into the middle of the room. The tiny ball of destruction sat on the floor, raising a leg and scratching it behind her head, leaving flecks of dirt on the floor. Fulgrim, is that little girl scratching herself like a dog? Rogel, yes. Ferris, yeah, that's what's on screen right now. Perturabo, I would smack the both of you right now if this wasn't such a mind-numbing scene of incompetent parenthood. Lehman shrinks into his throne. Novas, hate bath. Corvus, we can see that little one. The Vox loudspeaker was heard again. All Father save us. She is in the room of eternal glory. All teams converge. The little ball let out a surprising, or rather, unsurprising wolf-like yelp and began running for one of the doors, knocking down a display case holding some ancient piece of wood that split apart and was sent flying to all corners of the room. Lehman suddenly and violently stands. Are you fucking kidding me, little one? If you weren't a tiny girl, I would tan your hide until dash. Emperor, wow, Lehman, calm down. Lehman, calm down? Calm the bloody hell down. That was the last recorded event of me, Dad's last triumph. Magnus, brother, it was what I'm sure that they can remake it. Lehman flops down onto his throne. I sure do bloody well hope so. I need a drink. Robot, now you know how I feel. She was almost out of the door when a massive wall of steel came slamming down in front of her, sealing her inside of the room even as the Vox loudspeaker was heard yet again. She is trapped. All teams, surround and capture. All methods granted. Repeat, all methods granted. Corvus, all of them are acting like this is a life or death situation. Sure, the hall looked to be all but destroyed, but a child can't be that destructive dash. The family stopped and heard rising laughter, looking to see both Magnus and Jagatai going from soft chuckles to full-on laughter. Jagatai, you have no idea. You have clearly never seen the work of the angry little midgets. The tiny pup shook in place, looking up at the massive wall of steel. She had a feeling that the battle was soon going to be over. But her warrior instinct was strong. Her canine DNA, inherited from a pre-march, proving too strong for her undeveloped mind, and she would not give up without a fight. Morderai, what? Did Lehman breed with a wolf? Lemon. Emperor. No, he didn't. That's my fault. When I made all of you, I was very particular with how your genetic makeup would work and well. Lehman got the Canis helix. I know one of you got the feline helix, but I can't really remember. Corvus. Could they have attempted to make a female space marine? Seeing as in how much of a desperate situation the Imperium is. Impeter. No. Far too young for that. And no one is that desperate. The failure rate of a conversion is 99.76%, and even then, it requires a massive amount of maintenance. She prepared herself, growling and unveiling claw like fingernails, even as underneath all of that muck laid an actually cute little girl. Her hair stood up, making herself look bigger than she already was. It didn't help much, since she was only around 3 feet tall. Lehman, damn pup, doesn't want to go down without a fight. The wall of steel in front of her began to lift. She pounced, only for her eyes to widen to an impossible amount, even as momentum was interrupted mid-air and twisted in the opposite direction, yelping while doing so. Novat, Novat, dad Novat. Lehman, what? Bath. Does that mean that the hygiene aversion was all for a damn bath? Fulgrim, you might be surprised what it sometimes takes. Although that is not the case with Dash. Magnus, asterisk violent Kauging asterisk. Fulgrim, with most little princesses. Emperor, I swear, all of you will tell me Dash. Magnus, OHHEY. Want talk about how she said dad to Lehman. Lehman, wait what? Wait, that's me. The alpha was here, making the tiny pup nearly whimper in his presence. He spoke with a deep growl, a tone that made every fiber inside of her body squeak in terror. The behemoth of a man would make sure she would obey, whether she liked it or not. He caught her, hands making sure she wouldn't go anywhere. Listen, lil one, ye smell worse than a whole season o' fermented fish. You need that bath before the damn trolls mistake your smell for pheromones. No, Novat, bath bad, bath bad. The tiny pup shrieked, struggling in the grasp of the pre-march. All in vain. The little girl then began to howl, hoping to use her call of help for anyone to free her from the grasp of the alpha. Lehman, I am a fracking dad. How can I be a fracking DA dash? Sudden realization of something. HA. All of the wolf priests were wrong. Magnus. I don't even want to know what you were thinking about. Lion. Lehman. Lehman what? Lion. I don't see any mention of children till all the way to the 42nd millennium. Lehman. Lion. I thought you were the biggest ladies' man of the family. Surely, something must be wrong with you to wait all the way until then to have a child. Robot was in stasis for 10,000 years. What's your excuse? Lehman. Oh, wasn't I like lost in the warp? Lion. You disappeared fairly late, as I recall. During a feast. Lehman. I had no time. Lion. And as I recall, you were quite the braggart about your sexual exploits. Conrad. Go for the throat, Lion. Lehman. What the fuck are ye trying to say? Lion. All I am saying is that you mentioned that the wolf priest said dash. Lehman. Yer provid yer punt. Stop. Rogel. Lehman has very slow swimmers. A euphemism for a barely functioning reproductive cycle. Emperor. Latidata. Too much information, boys. You're going to take that bath, or you're going to get nutrient paste for dinner, young lady. She recoiled in horror. Not dare, she proclaimed proudly, hoping against all chances that her father was joking. I would. Lehman got incredibly close to her. I would even do it while we are in the great hall, feasting. She let out a tiny whine, much like a kicked puppy, and deflated in his hands. She looked up at him with huge, wide eyes through the mop of untamed hair, lower lip protruding out and quivering. Fulgrim, I admit, it still works. Robot, same to be honest. Jagatai, remind me of my youth. Magnus, almost like my Yoon dash, violent elbow to the gut from Jagatai KHM. Emperor, I swear. Lehman, I can feel it. It does have power. Aya, Arantierjute, said Lehman with a nice big grin. You're SE. That's what I would normally say. But right now you're so fracking dirty and smell like a kraken left a rot. So it ain't gonna work. Lehman, good one, future me. Magnus, you were cheering on your future self? Lehman, someone has to. More adorable puppy whining coming from the girl. Now, you can come with me and have your bath. Or you can explain to your mother and her sisters who are coming back tomorrow why you haven't taken a bath in over a month. Magnus, a month. Lehman, well dash. Fulgrim, a full bloody month. Le mot, ok list. Sanguinius, do you have any idea how foul that is? Lehman, kinda dash. Robot, Lehman, we can go for months without bathing. But a growing child needs baths. There are an untold amount of diseases they could contract, even if they are half of us. Lehman, okay, you have a point. Silence. Then a small, audible gulp was heard from the little girl, her hair deflating and her original size on full display. That's what I thought. Now, bath time. Fulgrim, are you threatening to sick your wife on your daughter? Laman. Jagatai, an effective strategy. Lehman, thank you, brother. Magnus, I can't judge you for that. Lehman, even you now? She began struggling again, even full-on gnawing on the gloved hands of Lehman, even as he carried her out of the room, singing the Fenrisian equivalent of a children's song. There were very visible teeth marks on his gauntlet hands. Conrad, not bad. Mortar ion. Indeed, the gene lottery seems to be with this one. Going off of what I know, if her teeth are that strong, then perhaps the rest of her bones are as well. I can only guess, since I don't have access to their full medical history and scans. Lehman, so my kid is badass? Mortar ion. Long-suffering Reaper sigh. Yes, Lehman. Your kid is badass. Lehman, good. There once was a hero called Ragnar the Red Hand, who came riding to the Fong from the old training camps. Lehman, haven't heard this one in forever. Magnus, it sounds surprisingly fine so far. Carrying her to a secluded room with quite a lot of space wolves guarding the entrance. Inside was a tub, a hose, and a wolf priest with heavy-duty cleaning tools in his hands. And the braggart did swagger and brandish his blade as he told of bold battle and maidens he bed. Magnus, wait what? Lorger, even I did not see that coming. Jagatai, a nice, traditional tune thus far. Lehman had to physically hold her in the tub, the water running a dark brown as it washed over the girl. She let out howls of discomfort, which were ignored. The hose had to be used quite liberally due to the dirt, blood, and all the nasty shit caked on her getting in the way of the cleaning. But then he went quiet, did the red hand, when he met a Valkyrie who said, "Oh, you talk and you lie and drink all our mead. Now I think it's high time that you lie down and bleed." Lorger, this is beyond barbaric. Pharisai, I don't know how to react to this. Fulgrim, how was this meant to be a children's tune? Lehman, it's a lesson. Ungron, it's a good way to teach kids the reality of this damned galaxy. Pussies, all of you. Lehman, smacks the hand rest of his throne, thank you. Enough water and soap, and the little girl started to shine through the dirt, showing off her adorable little face and angry wee eyes. She growled from under the water, the wolf priest working extra hard to scrub her with the brush, grumbling how this happened every wolfen month. And so then came the clashing and slashing of steel as the brave lass charged in full of zeal. Magnus, O.H. Great. Murder of a poor woman by a drunk dash. Lehman, Valkyrie. One can beat your ass in a fair fight. Magnus, you take that back. Lehman, I bloody well won't. From what I heard, they formed in during the frackin' Indomitus crusade from shield maidens and have actual power armor and good weapons. The regular women of Fenris can drink as much as a man can fight like a man, and can swear like a man. All of them are fucking badasses who can kick your ass. Magnus, then how do you know the damn song? Lehman, everyone customizes it. Wolf traditions and all that. Magnus, see what happens when you don't write things down. Finally rinsed, the girl was pulled from the tub, leaving a cascade of water rolling off of her as she was then assaulted with fluffy towels, drying her off and leaving her with distorted whines coming from the bundle. And the braggart named Ragnar was boastful no more when his ugly red hand went flying out of the door. Magnus, now we can add maiming to the list of things the poor little girl knows. Finally, she was dried, wrapped in a towel, and finally able to sit comfortably in her father's arms, looking like a tiny pupperito. She blinked a few times, noticing the song ended. She looked up to her father, asking what happened to Ragnar. Lehman was glad that even through her little bath ordeal, she did hear it all. For what I recall, lass, he wanted a trial from the gods. Vilga? Fenrisians still worship gods. I wonder why they get to keep that, even when Monarchia was burned, because we believe in a god. Truly, even at the most basic level of civilization, faith can still prevail and make mankind fair and stable in a society dash. So they threw him from the top of the fawn. Lorger, what? She giggled, snickering about the death of the braggart. Yay. Magnus, oh great. Your daughter loves it. Amazing. Can already tell she's going to be just like you. Lehman, yours say that like a bad thing. Magnus, O.H. I wonder why. It's also good luck we were able to wash you so easily. You really need to stop running around naked. Lehman shook his head, little destruction pup. Emperor, Lehman, please, don't let your children run around naked and covered in blood and dirt. Lehman, father, I was trying to fix it. Rogel, you barely succeed, brother. And this appears to be a monthly recurrence. Lehman, wolf grumbling. The little girl looked down at her belly, patted it a few times, and barked up at Lehman. Food now. Her father now gave her a wide smile. Equerry. There was a few seconds pause as Lehman waited expectantly. Oh, with a bloody hell is he equerry? The door to the room opened, and in stepped Ragnar Blackmane. My lord Russ, I apologize, but Lucas is banished. Lehman, W.O.T.? I made him my equerry. Magnus, what possessed you to do that? Lehman, I suddenly like my decision. Magnus, you're doing it out of spite? Lehman, certainly bloody well not. I am merely saying that I can see the effective side of it. What? Again, in the middle of a damned hell winter. Not the first time, my lord, nor the last, I suspect. Ack. Lehman rubbed his eyes with his free hand. Fine, call for feast. May I ask, what for my lord? Lehman held up the tiny cute ball of a girl in front of Ragnar's face. I got Freya clean, and there was only minor damage, and this time no one died. Lehman, egg for what I can see, getting that little hellhound bay does call for a feast. Fulgrim, what? No, it doesn't. You just need to have a better strategy for it. Rosie loves bads dash. Collective throat clearing. Emperor, Rosie Yh. Fulgrim, IUH. I can explain. Emperor, new wife. Fulgrim, yes. Robot, you're married? Fulgrim, yes. Rogel, sincere congratulations, brother. Fulgrim, well, cat's out of the bag. Rogel, but there is no cat dash. Perturabo, smack. Lion, congratulations indeed. Knowing you, it was more of the political necessity, however. Fulgrim, yes and no. Can we not talk about it? Emperor, for now, but you will tell me later. Suddenly the entire Fong violently shook. What in the wolfen food dash? The Vox loudspeaker spoke again. Iron Priest to the ventilation duct maintenance panels. The system has entirely collapsed. Lehman, tiny cute ball of mass destruction. Robot, you get used to it. Jagatai. Indeed. Lehman looked down at his outstretched daughter. Make that significant damage. Freya looked up at her father, her head cocked to the side. And if she had one, her tail would be wagging. Oh, I swear, little one. As soon as Yer can get an armor and listen to commands, I'm taking Yer with me exploring. He began walking with his daughter towards a nearby mead hall. If he were still alive, I couldn't wait to see the look on Lion's face when I let you loose among his sons. Like a wolf chasing a wee house cat. Lehman snickered in good humor, remembering better days. Lion, we better not, brother. Lehman, afraid, brother? Lion, wouldn't want to see your little one hurt. Lehman, oh, trust me. That is the least of what I am afraid of. Lion, then don't be surprised when she comes up against something greater than her. As the vid closed, the last line before it went off was something along the lines of, and make sure you don't chew through the table again. Pup. Those are for smashing, not biting. The vid suddenly turned off. All right, as we were getting to the fun part. That was enough tomfoolery for 1 decade, I think, slowly spoke up Horace, falling into shock sometime during the beginning of the vid. Nonsense. I think she is but the cutest little ball of fluff. Added on Vulcan, while also being a ball of mass destruction. Slowly mutat konrat. The perfect, unsuspecting weapon. Oh, how about not using my daughter as a weapon? You said that you would do it yourself, protested Magnus. Different situation. Oh, so using your daughter to poke fun at our brothers is fine, with potential violent and deadly consequences is fine, but using her in a war dash. She is just a pup, brother, defended Lehman, that you are singing war songs to. In Lehman's defense, IT is actually a part of his culture, as well as Jagatai's. Spoke up the Emperor, even as Magnus turned to Jagatai. It is true, there are many such songs on Kagras, although with a lot more throat singing. Jagatai rubbed at his chin and thought, now that I think about it, quite a lot have death, dismemberment, sex, crusades, violence. All of them are like that, really. They're fine. Magnus sighed, rubbing at his temples. It just seems odd that songs meant for children are so violent. Lorger added on with, to be fair, we are built for war and the galaxy isn't very child-friendly in the slightest. I suppose so. Maybe I'm just a bit more sensitive to the topic because of a reason I will not get into. Maybe I'm just making a fuss out of nothing. Magnus relented, knowing that maybe he was just overreacting to this. Exactly. Besides, children's songs, literature, and entertainment has always been violent or close to violence. Ever since ancient Terran times. The Emperor spoke up, thinking back on his own childhood and songs he heard during his wandering days. A few famous ones are about the Black Plague, religious persecution, treason with some beheading, human sacrifice, murderous psychopaths, a river turning red from the sheer amount of people dying in it, and another about 3 men who conspired to overthrow the government. Just to name a few. The Emperor shrugged. Children's songs have been fucked up for a long time. I swear, humanity is such a crude, vile species at times. Finally finished Magnus, even as the rest of the family was surprised or just outright acceptance at the customs of ancient mankind. Yeah, but it's awesome. So that's where Conrad and Angron get it from, muttered Horace.